Shit, let me check, but I believe we might be live already, Rahim. But I'm gonna check just to make sure. And yeah, we are live. What is going on? Hold up 1 second, everybody. All right, we're back at it. What is going on, everybody? It's your man Sean Zittel from LaGuardia Airport here in the hollow and pretty empty LaGuardia Airport. It's 2:26 in the a.m. and I don't have a flight to catch back to Vegas for like 12 hours. So what better thing to do than be joined with the legendary Radio Rahim himself in the flesh? Yes. What's up, Rahim?
It must be said that this is how much of our lives and happiness are dedicated to this sport, because while you sit in LaGuardia in New York on a travel fight on Valentine's Day with a beautiful, understanding, loving wife at home and 2 kids.
A baddie.
On Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And then have the fucking stones to not even get a hotel but go to the airport at 2 a.m. What you didn't say is your flight is in 14 hours.
So 14 hours, right? I said 12.
And you're sitting at the airport to save money for that family so you can get the extra big bouquet for the lovey when you get home instead of wasting that money on
Already got it. Got it right before I left for the flight. Bouquet was already there. Right?
Yeah.
And it cost a hotel room. It cost a hotel room in New York City, a hotel room in New York City worth bouquet. Bro. Yeah.
And then I'm sitting in London. Granted, it's 7 a.m., but I had to get up at 3 a.m. to watch this fight.
You did?
You know, it is, you know, I think I'm somehow in trouble with my Valentine. We're supposed to watch the fight together virtually. All this stuff's supposed to happen. And then I don't know if I fucked it up or what, but I'm pretty sure I'm the one in trouble. That's how that goes. So all of this just to watch a main event ESPN fight. On Valentine's Day. You know, this is all I'm saying is this is what we do for you people. This is what we do for the sport and for the fans, so we can bring you firsthand accounts and top shelf analysis.
Top shelf. The audience, Rahim, you could say, is our Valentine's tonight.
That's it. That's it. Our loved ones and families and friends suffer so that our real passion can be directed at the ones who we've loved our entire life, the boxing community.
All right, so man, I can get into the whole card, but let's get to the main event. Keyshawn Davis, Denys Berinchyk, the fight I know you watched, because I'm not sure if you were able to be up at 2 or 3 in the morning in England to watch Abdullah and Xander. So I'll get to that.
Hit the alarm for the main event. Yeah.
You got to watch Abdullah Mason. The kid may have been the most special fighter of the night, Keyshawn Davis included. Could be. That's how good he is. But with Keyshawn, man, he knocks out Denys Berinchyk to the body. Beautiful. It was either the 3rd or 4th round. It is almost 3 in the morning. I think it was the 3rd round. It might have been the 4th. I think it was the 4th round, actually.
No.
It was the 3rd part. But
It was the 4th.
It got ugly quickly. He bloodied and battered Baranchyk as early as the 1st and 2nd round. And Baranchyk was just outgunned. He's one of these Ukrainian fighters. Like a little bit like a poor man's Lomachenko. He's certainly not Lomachenko, but they use their movement and their kind of awkward rhythm to eventually cut the distance in a smart way and get in that mid to close range where they like to make you back up in straight lines and follow you out and take advantage of that kind of thing. But I mean, Keyshawn Davis just had this dude on a string. Like, Terrence Crawford was front row yelling at him, use the jab to freeze his movement. And I could see Keyshawn. There was one moment in the 3rd round where he started smiling at his family ringside, and you could tell it was, I got him. He kind of took those first 2 rounds like Crawford will do, Mayweather back in the day, and kind of figure out and assess his opponent's movements, and then quickly, like in a blink of an eye, it's a totally one-sided fight. And his length and counterpunching, that Bomac, Terrence Crawford gym, their bread and butter is they really get you to sharpshoot in between punches and make you a great counterpuncher. Keyshawn flashed that and then finished him to the body. But anyways, What are your takeaways from Keyshawn Davis winning his first world title at Madison Square?
The reason you thought it might be 3 rounds is because the fight was so fast. It was a fast-paced fight from the beginning. Right out at the beginning of the first round even, when they engaged and Keyshawn was so easily able to push Baranchyk back, even with the jab, I was like, oh, this is trouble. You know, if anything, Baranchyk was going to need to be able to be imposing, to be able to plant his feet and make Keyshawn maybe box around him or impose his will and some kind of power that would get Keyshawn's attention to make him second guess whether or not he should be first and lead or counterpunch. None of that happened. It seemed like Baranchyk from the very beginning was just outgunned, first of all, which I thought was really his only chance of winning the fight if he came in with some kind of big guns. And then the way he was pushed back, it wasn't that he was pushed back, it's that he was pushed back and almost having to recover every single time. You know, the in and out, you can make a strategy if you're in control of it. But he never seemed in control of it, even himself. It seemed like
jittery.
Keyshawn was dictating. Yeah, the whole time. And the jitters come from he's not a novice fighter, obviously. The jitters come from being out of control, off balance, not when you're being pushed back, not still solid on your feet. He was trying to find his feet from the very beginning of the fight. Those lead shots to the body, which was very Mayweather-esque, usually is like how you feel a fighter out and let him know that you're faster than him or you're longer than him and you're not going to be easy to be gotten to. But those were punishing punches. Those were like rattling shots. And once you realize that you're not only able to land lead hands to the body, which is an insult, but then also able to rattle your opponent with them, then your opponent has nowhere to go. He needs to make an immediate and significant adjustment to shut that down right away, make you pay for jumping in there with a lead right to the body.
To the body.
That's
stinging.
Crazy.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, you gotta get him out of there. You gotta catch him coming in or make him pay going out, something. But you can't just let that slide. And then after you need to recover from every single one of them, that was setting the tone early. And to me, it almost seemed like there was no breaks in between rounds because Keyshawn was just able to do whatever he wanted to do. He looked good doing it. He fought long. He was able to, like I say, land those lead hands. And then when Baranchyk did engage, he was getting thumped to the face. And you see that blood streaming from the eye early, from the nose early. And for any fighter, it's like a shark. That's just blood in the water right there. Now, not only does he look like a beaten fighter, but the entire fight up until that point, he was stammering around like a confused fighter. Baranchyk had nothing. He had nothing. I don't know if Keyshawn was inspired tonight or if he was just determined to get that world title, but it has to be said because you couldn't see it. Baranchyk is no novice opponent. He's no walkover fighter. So to make him look that easy to beat and to bloody him and to knock him out with 2 body shots, knock him down with a body shot and knock him out with a body shot, you might say you caught a guy with a body shot, he didn't see it coming, knocked him down, he had to take the break, and then he gets up and, maybe you knock him out to the jaw or something like that later in the fight, and the body shot was just a good punch. Not even lucky, just a good shot that you caught him with. Okay, cool. No, Keyshawn worked for that body shot knockout. The body shot knockout is not only the most embarrassing, but I suggest the more painful because if you get concussed, you're just sleeping. And you wake up and you're like, all right, well, that sucked. But when you get knocked out with a body shot, you got knocked out from pain. It's pain that kept you from getting on your feet, not
loss of consciousness.
Yeah, well, you're in a dream. It's Valentine's Day for Baranchyk already. If he's sleeping, he's home with his lady. But when you get knocked out with a body shot, you feel every millisecond of it, and that's what Keyshawn wanted to do. I would like to talk to him and ask him if that was the strategy to cause maximum pain, not just get the win, not just get a knockout, but he wanted Baranchyk to feel every second of it. That's what it looked like, and that's certainly what happened.
Well, we were missing those kind of astute questions at ringside in New York City tonight. Now I feel bad because I didn't ask that. I asked some dumb shit. Whatever I asked, go watch the post-fight interviews. I asked whatever I asked. Not that. And I love, by the way, the wild card boxing Rahim coming out of Hollywood, just flexing the X's and O's knowledge on the live stream. I enjoyed that. And to just like further some of your points about, to further, totally outgunned. Like, Keyshawn Davis is the longer fighter, he's the faster fighter, he's the more skilled fighter, and he's the harder puncher. Outgunned. Like, you have nothing on this kid if you're Denys Berinchyk. And to further illustrate what Rahim's talking about with landing lead shots to the body, it's a double whammy. When you reach down to the body, it's supposed to be dangerous. You risk getting countered up top or whatever. You're reaching down there. So not only are you reaching down there, he's reaching out there from long range or mid-range, which is a lost art, because a lot of times we think of body punching as applying pressure, getting close, and boom, throwing that left hook to the body. Great American fighters like Keshawn could be, this is his first world title fight, that's a lost art. Mike McCallum, Sugar Ray Leonard, these are James Toney. These were guys that were athletic and quick enough with a good enough vision and arsenal that they could get off a body shot from long range and have the timing not to be countered. It's very hard to do. And like you said, when Keyshawn's doing that in the first couple rounds, it's like you are fucked if you're Baranchyk. And you asked, like, maybe he was just inspired tonight. It was the small room at the Garden, but it was a lively, packed theater at Madison Square Garden. No matter how you slice it, for a young, super talented fighter like Keshawn to be fighting for your first world title at Madison Square Garden, if you're a star, that's going to bring the best out of you. And that's what it did for Keyshawn Davis.
It should inspire him to get to the big room. And there's no disrespect in the small room, but that's, to me, not the Garden. You're in the theater, you know?
Right.
And the way you win a world title matters.
Yep.
Winning a world title is to be commended no matter how you win it, because there's no beaten path for boxers to a championship shot. So I don't care what, as long as it is a world title, I don't care what sanctioning body it is. I don't care who your opponent was. If it was a vacant title that you were able to claim, if you got one around your waist, then you have immediately been inducted into a very, very unique class of people, right? With that said, though, at his age, I think it's 26.
Yeah.
And needing to put the division on notice to say who is the champion of champions, who is the guy on his way to becoming undisputed, who is the guy who is going to dictate this division, it matters how you win. It matters if you can put the other champions on notice on the night. It matters if it looks like, oh, you're the guy to beat. Oh, he's so nice. If I beat him, everybody else knows that I'm nicest by definition, because that guy is far and away better than everybody else. That's how you define yourself in this four-belt era, as the champion, right? Not just a champion. And I say just because now I'm talking amongst the champions. Tonight, Keshawn made a statement. If it was the theater that motivated him, great. Whatever it takes to get you there. If it was just becoming a world champion and this is what you've been working your life to get and you're not going to let anybody stand in your way, that's certainly what it looks like. He fought a real opponent, a respectable opponent. 11 years his junior, however. That matters. But that veteran is not old. It's that...
Well, I think he's 6 years. I think Baranchyk was 32. I think he's 32. So he's 6 years
really?
younger. Yeah.
Oh, somehow I got my mind it was 37.
You might be thinking of the other Ukrainian. That's Lomachenko. No, just...
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? He looked 37 tonight.
He did.
No,
Keyshawn made him...
I'm sorry I put five more years on you. But Keyshawn aged you 5 years tonight.
Yeah.
And that's even younger. But even a 5-year gap in boxing, that's a lot of experience. Baranchyk has been in there. And the fact that there was no tricks he could pull out of the bag, nothing he could do to extend the fight, couldn't or didn't tie him up or get rest in there, make it, you know what I mean? I could have even seen it, even as bad as it began, I could have seen maybe Baranchyk figure out a way to survive. Like, you know, find something that was working for him that would make it difficult for Keyshawn to just tee off and drag this fight out, make it long, make it ugly, get to the final bell, and live to fight another day on your feet. He had no answers. And what makes me think
Baranchyk is 36. No, they're correcting me in the chat. He's 36. No, Rahim was right. Rahim was right, and I was wrong. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thanks, chat.
What makes me think that Keyshawn was uniquely inspired beyond just the desire to become a world champion was all of this press around the watermelon and the banana. You hear me take that breath because I don't want to talk about it. This is where
my perspective and expertise probably comes into play, right? Like they no, go ahead. No,
you've seen so many bananas and watermelons. You know exactly how this trick works.
Don't do that. It's not what I meant. It was supposed to be a funny, sarcastic joke that I walked right into your joke. Go ahead. It's not at all what I meant.
I have to wonder two things. First of all, if that was a motivating factor to the extent that it elevated Keyshawn's performance, which was so good tonight that I hope it didn't. I hope it wasn't. I hope it was just shtick. I hope it wasn't even on his mind.
I don't think it really.
This morning. But the way he responded to it during press week makes me think that it was. Makes me think that he took that to heart. And then the other thing about it is, I don't think it mattered to Baranchyk at all that he was kind of being accused of this. But I also don't think it's something that I don't think it's fair to do that to a guy, right? And I might get some stick for this because whenever anything racial happens, we just assume that it is what it appears to be. I don't know Baranchyk. I do know Alexander Krusik. I do know Usyk. I do know Lomachenko. I do know that Ukrainian kind of team of management and fighters in league. I've really never seen anything from any of those guys that I do know in that Ukraine space that would suggest not only that Baranchyk would do something like that under the supervision of Krusik, but that it's something that they would even understand to be rattling. Like, it's such a weird, old-timey American trope. Such a fucking Southern, 2 generations behind us insult. That where does this guy get that idea? And even if you did send something like that, or somebody who did have that idea, I would think that it wouldn't be upsetting. Not that engaging somebody who is racist is upsetting, but like, who's still responding to that shit? Like, who's still getting triggered by bananas and watermelon? I would just, like, watermelon is delicious. That is a universal truth at this point. Like, it is now, what the fuck? Make a smoothie out of bananas, eat the watermelon because it's goddamn delicious. Maybe put some honey on it and move on with your life. I thought that the focus on that was a little contrived, not from Keyshawn, but from ESPN, and all the commentators felt like they had to talk about it.
Were they talking about it on the broadcast?
Yes, they showed a picture of it on the broadcast in the lead up. Like, at one point, we're talking about Keyshawn's tragic childhood and his mother and father's domestic violence and all that shit, which, you know, okay, I get it. That's part of your story. I would ask those kind of questions if I were in that position. And then the next thing we're talking about, like, you know, boxes of fruit to the room. And I thought one really took away from the other because now it just seems like you guys are, you know, just putting it on laying it on a little too thick. I just hated everything about it, and I hate that we still feel like if something like that happens, it has to be part of the story. We have to address it, and more than any of those things, I hate that he was so easily triggered by it. Like that can still get that kind of reaction out of a guy that young. No, I mean, like, you know, yes, he's black. Yes, he grew up in America. Yes, I get that he will understand, but
well, to interject,
is it so fucking upsetting?
Well, you know, fighters and athletes at that stage, they're looking for any and everything to add something extra to the fire anyways. Like even when your question's not challenging, they're trying to make it challenge. They're looking for anything to rev up the engine. To be fair to Keyshawn about that. And then you know, to kind of put those worries at ease, I don't think it led to him fighting beyond himself or anything, because by the time the weigh-in was over, he was on FaceTime, kind of giving a quick apology to Baranchyk, you know, like, hey, he's like, you guys are honorable people anyways, like your culture, the Ukrainians, as far as he knows, like you were talking about knowing Alex K and Usyk and these guys, like you guys don't really get down like that as far as I know anyway. And then he found out the culprit might have been Teofimo, who kind of took credit for it. I'm sure you saw his video of him snickering about the bananas being sent and everything. And Keyshawn or Tio's been, you know, kind of tastelessly joking about that shit the last couple months anyways. So I'll leave this to you then. Keyshawn's response about that was, I'm not giving him a fight. And this logic has been told to me by people in the boxing business for a while. It's what Canelo ultimately did to Benavidez, is if you don't like a fighter, you don't do this old school thing of get in the ring and whoop his ass and that's how you show him. You just starve him out. You don't give him the payday. And so it seems like Keyshawn's taken that line against Tio and a few others. Like, do you think that's the right approach to handle Teofimo Lopez, is you just don't get a fight, you don't get a payday, or do you go in there and try to beat his ass because you don't like what he said or did?
Well, the irony for Teofimo is playing on those tropes and that history of racism clearly to me means he doesn't understand the full context of it. Because even Teofimo, who is being a fucking cunt, I don't think is actually racist or a bad guy. I think he thinks it's funny. He's young enough to not understand the history that he's poking and thinking that this is a way to troll a guy into a fight and this is just like any other kind of shit talking. Racism is based on power. Excuse me. The color of your skin is meant to dictate how much power or leverage or influence you have, not only over society, but over yourself. And so to call somebody an animal or a watermelons eating jigaboo or any of these things, what they're saying is you're out of control. You have no ability to conduct yourself in society, much less dictate what happens in society. You're an animal that the civilized races of society have to put up with and dictate to. Lopez is not in the position of dictating shit. Keyshawn is. If Lopez wants to fight and Keyshawn has the belt and Keyshawn's in the power position to decide whether or not he's going to give Lopez a fight, and Keyshawn feels like he doesn't need the fight as bad as Lopez does, this is something Lopez wants and Keyshawn can do without, well, now you have to realize that this monkey with the bananas has the belt and the power and the leverage in the situation. And the very thing you're poking at is the thing that he will now demonstrate to counteract your juvenile understanding and concept of racism or even the tropes that you're promoting. So I think it's a good lesson for Lopez. And I think this next generation, whether or not even Keyshawn thinks of it in the way that I'm talking about it, he's demonstrating it because that's the truth of what it is, right? It's that if I'm holding the cards and you're disrespecting me, I have the leverage, then I get to decide whether or not you get a shot. And I can move on without you. Can you, in fact, move on without me? I'm in control of the situation, so I'm not your pet. Monkeys don't run the house. Monkeys don't even run the circus. So who's the monkey in this situation then, really? You're the one that needs Keyshawn to crank the jack in the box so you can dance your way down into the ring. So if anything, it's apropos that Lopez is on camera eating the banana because he's the monkey in the situation. How does that banana taste?
Sheesh, it was like one you had lined up ready to go for tonight. Just to provide some context, they are both world champions. Tio's the WBO and lineal champion at 40. Keyshawn's now the WBO champ at lightweight. So they're technically not even in the same weight class right now. But Tio has gone from big time in Keyshawn, hey, you're not on my level, you're not really on the radar, to now trying to goad him maybe into a fight. So the tables turned a little bit there. The joke I made earlier that you ambushed and put egg on my face is like, hey, I'm the expert about this stuff, and obviously I'm really not. So I'm kind of deferred to you on that one. So to touch more on Keyshawn's performance, Baranchyk is not on the level of the other title holders. Lomachenko is going to vacate, but let's call Loma still the IBF champion, and Shakur and Gervonta. He's not that, but Keyshawn made it obvious that he's not on their level. He did his part to highlight that. And again, like we talked about before this fight, it's not really about Keyshawn winning because everybody expected him to win. It's about how he won. And the barometer I gave him is, can you do Floyd Mayweather, Genaro Hernandez? Can you do Gervonta when he fought Pedraza in New York, in Brooklyn? He passed with flying colors. He gets the A. He gets the A tonight, for sure.
Right. And I'm gonna let me just interject this before we get too far away from it.
Yeah.
But who's hot? Who's the name that people are talking about? Who is, like you said, this performance was extraordinary. And Baranchyk, again, we can't start talking about him like he's a nothing fighter. Not that you have, but we can't. And respect the performance of Keyshawn. The reason I'm saying that the leverage has changed is because Lopez, while holding those belts, is not the guy anybody's really talking about. His performances have not been super impressive. There's not a anticipation for his next fight and his trajectory. We feel like we know what he brings. He hasn't been crazy impressive. He, lost the title to Kambosos, and ever since then, he's kind of been searching to get that kind of heat back. And Keyshawn has the heat. And like I said at the beginning, you got to define yourself as the guy to beat. You got to define yourself as the guy that other champions, like Lopez, say, I got to beat that guy so people know I'm the guy. And that is the position I think Keyshawn is in with this title win and all the heat that's on him. The fact that people are excited to talk about him and see what he's able to do. He can go on without Lopez, and I think Lopez is the one heat-seeking. But that was my...
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough, because if it's not Crawford, it's Davis. If it's not Davis, it's the other Davis. And so, I definitely get your point. Or Haney. Or Ryan,
Well, Lopez needs heat from somebody. He needs a matchup where people are going to be like, oh, in his, from Lopez's perspective, remind everybody that I am the guy again. Because we both run in, boxing journals and circles. Nobody's talking like that about Lopez anymore.
Well, and again, to be fair to him, he is technically the man at 140 right now. So he's not coming off a loss. He's not, he does have some good things going on for him, but he's the guy calling guys out right now. He's not Gervonta or Canelo getting called out.
I know you're a WWE guy. I'm just talking about the heat.
The heat. No, I got you.
I'm not talking about his skills.
He's the one looking for the rub.
He wins all those fights. Maybe he wins all those fights, but he's the one looking for it.
Right.
And that is the point where I think he misunderstood the fucking assignment when it came to Keyshawn.
Well, I got you for another 3.5 minutes on the Zoom. If the people want to bear with me, I could just send a new one as soon as this one's over. But just as a heads up to you in the audience. So
you want to wrap up the undercard? Like, you want to pop in and say?
You mean solo, or you want to hop in? No, I didn't know.
I just wanted to remind you.
I
just wanted to remind you because you ran out of time. I don't want to.
Yeah, well, I'll we got for the 3 minutes, and then I could chat, just send Rahim a message, another Zoom link, but I got a quick super chat we got to get to too. Said, hello boxing fans, Sean, Radio Rahim, and chat. Congratulations to the winners, especially Keyshawn. Subscribe, share, and smash that like button, folks. Thank you, MAW, and I agree with everything he said. I think you guys should follow his advice. So Keyshawn, I asked him after the fight about Gervonta. We're talking about Chase and the heat and all this stuff, and I'm like, I asked him, with you being a world champion now, how big is Davis versus Davis? And sometimes I wonder if he doesn't want to catapult their fight as the biggest in the division because he doesn't want to slight his brother Shakur Stevenson and everything and, that kind of thing. He kind of shot it down and goes, you tell me how big it is, And it's like, well, I kind of want your opinion on it. I don't, but I'll have my opinion on how big it is with Rahim in a couple hours from the airport. But I don't know. These guys today, it's always, I'm running my own race, and I get it. It's like I'm not clout chasing. I'm not looking to piggyback off another fighter's name and all that. But yous are not running your own race. Yous are all in the same race. This is professional boxing in the 135-pound division, and you now have a world championship, and he has a world championship, and none of us could get to the bottom of who's the best in this thing without you guys fighting each other. What a concept. So, yeah, so after Keyshawn, when we came live and we talked about Keyshawn after Lemos, I said, look, Rahim, Davis versus Davis is on its way to surpassing Davis versus Stevenson as the fight in the lightweight division. That's what's happening before our very eyes. Maybe as of right now, February 15th it is now. Maybe Tank and Shakur, yeah, it's still 1 versus 2. But for my money, man, Davis versus Davis is becoming the fight at 135, for sure. Keyshawn and Gervonta. I think stylistically it's more entertaining. And I think Keyshawn is a bigger threat to Gervonta. Not that Shakur can't outbox him and win a decision, but I feel like Shakur and Gervonta fight the fight of their lives. They execute to the highest of their abilities. Tank is blessed more than Shakur. I think he might be just as fast, if not a little more faster, a little more explosive, and he's certainly got the power. And yeah, Shakur's a great technician, but Tank's got skills too. So I kind of think Keyshawn is on his way to being, this is becoming the biggest fight. You're going to get me out of here in 30 seconds, so I have to send you another link, but yeah.
I might wrap up just by saying whoever fights first, that is going to end up being the biggest, most exciting rivalry. These guys are so on par with talent, I believe. And as we know, styles make fights, that we don't know what it's going to look like when one gets in there versus how the other gets in there, but they're all going to be incredibly entertaining fights because they're all going to be executing at the highest level. So whoever gets the fight done first is going to be the stars of the division and create the first rivalry that's going to seem like the...
I think we got Rahim's point. We for sure got Rahim's point, didn't we, chat? Hold on, chat. Allow me to become visible again. Hello. What's up, chat? All right, well, unfortunately, it's just me now. It's just me in this cold, lonely airport at LaGuardia. But I have you people. I have the boxing fans to talk to. Let me get a quick super chat from Drink More Water, and we'll kind of touch on Keyshawn and Abdullah and everything else. Xander Zayas tonight. Oh, no, send another link. Rahim said, fuck that noise. He wants to keep doing this. Hold on. All right. All right, chat. Chat, I'm going to send another link to my man Rahim, and we're going to keep this funky. We're going to keep it going. Boom. You guys are going to see how this works in real time because I'm so organized with it. Hold up, chat. Forgive me. Got to get Rahim another link. You guys are awesome for rocking with me tonight. All right, Zoom. Boom. And Rahim will be joined with us again in a moment. All right, so make sure I'm still with the people. I am. Cool. All right, so yeah, I think Keyshawn's on his way to the Davis versus Davis is becoming the hottest fight at lightweight. Right now, as of today, Tank and Shakur is still number 1 versus number 2. Keyshawn just got here in the championship level, but the eye test tells me he's very skilled like Shakur, but he's a natural lightweight. He started his career at 135, better combination puncher at 35, and all that stuff. Let's see. I got a quick super chat. It says, does Ali Walsh need to go down a class or does he just not have it? Well, I'll answer that very respectfully. Like, I really like Nico Ali Walsh. What's up, Rahim? We're back with Rahim. Just answering a quick super chat for the people. But, you know, asking me, does Nico Ali Walsh need to go down a class or does he just not have it? Well, I say this very respectfully. If we're talking, relatively speaking, championship level boxing, he does not have it. And he never will have it. You know, he's a late starter who didn't have a big amateur pedigree. And I think if I was Nico's family member, I would tell him he has a lot to be proud of. Like, he comes from money. His grandfather was Muhammad Ali. Oh, shit, what happened? Okay, cool. He comes from money. His grandfather was Muhammad Ali. And yet he's won about 10 or so or plus professional prize fights. And Bomac almost has as many losses as wins. Greg Hackett, who shout out to Greg Hackett, an awesome analyst that I'll listen to sometimes. The fans love to listen to. You know, he lost more fights than he won, and he knows his fucking boxing. So for Nico Ali to maybe get out of the sport with a record of way more wins than losses and to start late, he has a lot to be proud of. I act like I know everything about boxing, and I had 3 amateur fights, let alone I didn't win 10 plus professional fights. So does Nico Ali Walsh not have it? No, he doesn't have it at the championship level. But he has a lot to be proud of anyways. The dude won 10 or so professional prize fights. That's a lot to be proud of. But to get honest, to be raw about it though, he's not moving the needle. I think if he was selling and drawing ratings and all that kind of stuff, I think Top Rank wouldn't be opening the ESPN Plus segment of the card with him, and they would protect him more if they felt like it was moving the needle, it was selling. But Top Rank is on their way out of this ESPN deal, and you know, Nico Ali Walsh couldn't do anything one way or the other to help that out. So they're kind of cutting bait. They're matching him tougher, and if he gets beat, he gets beat. They're done with this experiment.
Let me offer a potential lucrative road out for Ali before the doors close on him in the house he's in. The beauty of what crossover boxing brought to the sport, even for those purists who hate to watch these mediocre level novice kids in their estimation, disrespect the sport because of their lack of skill, what we cannot deny is that they have offered an avenue for the type of fighter who is not championship level, who may never be championship level, but who can engage an audience with a name, with
recording
a shtick,
in progress,
with an ability to create a character. And the fact that he's got 10 fights, legitimate, as, you know, Nico Ali, he's tested the waters. He realizes he cannot swim in the deep end. Go to the shallow pool and be a whale. Like, he's got enough of a name for sure. And I've met the guy. He's a nice guy. He's charismatic, actually. I think if he were to lean into putting that on, he could create a character for the Misfits universe and fight at that level and be a star in that space and still be fighting, still be able to earn money.
It probably beat the shit out of the Misfits.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that Misfits environment, now that it's been around long enough for there to be something of a bottleneck of talent, I'd like even the Misfits to come up a level. I'd like for what you expect is the ceiling for Nico Ali to kind of be the level at which Misfits type boxing has to perform to be champions. Like, the champions and Misfits should have the skill and talent level of a Tommy Fury, of a Nico Ali. Like, why? You know what I mean? Fury Ali.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is the Misfits version of Ben Eubank, if you will. I realize that their fathers were not rivals in any way, but the names are rivals. American. It's got all the stuff. If you just want to promote it in a misfit style, which is kind of WWE style. I would, if I were in, the executive side of Misfits, I'd be knocking Ali's door down. The kids at that level, they don't, you know what I mean? They know the Ali name, but they don't demand the pedigree. They just need to be entertained. And I think Nico, has enough charisma and affability to create a character to be a hero over there, be a star.
I think he also has some thump on his right hand, relatively speaking.
Sure.
He's got some thump. Yeah, he does.
Well, he's not a bum. He's not awful. He's just not championship level, in the professional traditional ranks. But he's probably a world beater in the Misfits universe.
Oh, I got him stopping Salt Poppy, for sure. Yeah, I got him beating Salt Poppy. But he, and again, just like a really good dude who I don't think has done anything to disgrace his grandfather's legacy. I think he's upheld it with integrity, and he has integrity for trying to legitimately climb the ranks this late, in not having the amateur career and all that. And I got to get to a super chat from my guy, Drink More Water. 1 second, Drink More Water, I got you. But talking about this stuff with Nico, it brings me to someone else on the undercard, which is Jared Anderson. And I had people coming up to me at after the fight, what do you think of Jared Anderson? What do you think of Jared Anderson? And I said, look, if I was close with Jared, I would want to tell him, why don't you take a year off from boxing? Because he and Bruce Trampler, the matchmaker at Top Rank, he put that a lot more harshly on Twitter, right? And I don't mean it as don't approach Jared like it's a punishment. That's just going to feed into him hating boxing maybe more if he does hate it, because he certainly tells us he doesn't love it. And so don't try to approach him like, well, young man, if you just hate boxing so much, why don't you just go sit over there for a year without it and think about that? No, but maybe tell him, you look like you didn't want to be there tonight. And what's crazy about Jared Anderson, what I give him credit for, is if out of your own mouth you don't love boxing, you don't care about being heavyweight champion, and if I'm judging your demeanor tonight, you didn't 100% want to be there. You wanted to. It was like a job. It was like someone clocking in at Walmart. Like, yeah, I'm here. I'll do what I got to do. I'm just here to get this check and go home. I don't really want to be here. There was some of that in Jared Anderson's performance, and it's like, you're doing all this, and all you've done is lost to Martin Bakole. You've won every other fight except Martin Bakole. Imagine how good you could be if whatever reason, sometimes you got to lose something to realize how much you really want it. Maybe a year off from the sport makes him go, I really do want to do this. Or this, not even I want to do this, I realize this is my calling. This is what God made me to do. This is the talent he bestowed upon me. And what's troubling about his performance is he was knocking out dudes like Marios Kolias in 1 or 2 rounds on the regular. About 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, he fought Russians who were 20-0, 20-1, who had better records, who were bigger men than Marios Kolias, and ran right through them, fought downhill, and got their asses out of there quick to send a message that he had next coming from America. And so tonight he looked like he didn't want to be there. And I think this sport is so dangerous that it's like, hey man, if you don't want to do this, you are young enough that you don't have to do this. Maybe you should go home and think about if you really want to box, because it's nothing. Yeah.
If Jared Anderson takes a year out of boxing,
you're
going to get a rap album. And he'll never be in the ring again. It's not that he doesn't love boxing. He doesn't love being mediocre. He doesn't love not being a star. And he is of a generation and a mindset that put the cart before the horse, got humbled in front of the world, and now his real fight begins. What are you in your character? Where is your constitution for this sport? Can you metaphorically get up off the canvas and win this fight? Because you couldn't do it against Martin Bakole. There's no spin or crime in that. You were overmatched. You didn't think you could be overmatched. And then you found out there's levels to this shit, and you're not at that level. You could be. You certainly have the talent to be.
He definitely didn't fight. He definitely didn't fight the best game plan against Bacoli and those kind of things.
Do you have the ability to humble yourself in the gym to get to that level and call Martin Bacoli out for a rematch at some point and right that wrong in your mind? But before you even think about getting in the ring with Bacoli again, you got to get in the ring with yourself in those quiet, dark moments alone in a room like LL Cool J and decide if this is who you are, not what you can do. Because what he's doing now is what he can do. Is this who you are? Are you a warrior of the caliber that you told us you absolutely were, that you told yourself you were? Is this one knockdown, this one hurdle, this one thing make you hate the sport? No, you're throwing a tantrum in front of the fucking world because you feel like you're owed something that you haven't earned. You thought you were something that you were not. And the thing is, you might still be that, but now you don't believe it. So you want to be like, oh, I don't care about this. It's like a fucking kid, dude, when you're playing a game and you're losing, whether it be a video game, a board game, or kickball, you're getting embarrassed and you're like, fuck this game. I don't like this. You turn the board over, or you slam the controller down, or you say, oh, I hate basketball. Because you're embarrassed, bro.
He was saying those same things before the loss to Bacoli, though, to be fair. It's not like this was stuff he started saying once the Bacoli loss happened, but yeah.
I encountered this guy in LA with the gold diamond chains. He was talking shit to Eddie Hearn. He had all the hubris in the world before the Bacoli fight. He was loving it. He was eating it up, lapping it up. They didn't want to do press, not because he hates boxing, but because he's above it. Like, why do I have to do this? I'm ready to go home. Part of the pre-Bacoli disdain was not that I hate the sport. It's that I'm too good for all of this shit. Like, you're already talking shit to Eddie Hearn. You know what I mean? About, like, come on, you love that. That was part of his character. It was like, I don't need this shit. I could do this at the flick of a wrist. What I hate is all the work that has to go into being what I am. That's what he hated. And if he had loved it, maybe that fight goes differently. And Top Rank knew as much. Top Rank didn't want him in that fight.
Yeah, they weren't happy about that in the aftermath. Yeah.
And the only reason that
your boy Turkey subverted them on that one.
Absolutely. That is a fact. And the only reason that he as a fighter took that money, took that fight against his own promoter's experience and guidance that he
was his short-sighted goal of money without the title, without
it was his hubris, because he thought he was a world beater. He thought he knew better. He's not listening to fucking Top Rank. If there's more money over here, of course I can beat Bacoli, and I can do it without even raising my game. And that was his attitude in fight week. There was already an entitlement about who he was and who he imagined he would be in the sport, where he was walking around there like he was undisputed champion and didn't need any of this shit. He was doing us a favor by being there. That's what that pre-Bacoli, I don't love this shit is about. He's doing us a favor. Just like he's the type of guy who would say, my greatest regret is I'll never get to watch myself fight. This is the kind of guy that you encounter before Bacoli. And with all that said, I'm hoping that either he focuses his hate on me, or he decides that what he just heard, if he ever hears this out of my mouth, is so insulting that he's going to prove everybody, including himself, wrong. That is fucking nonsense, and what a hater radio is. And let me embarrass him. You won't embarrass me, man. You're going to excite the entire sport of boxing, and I'll be first to be clapping it up on my feet if I ever get to see the Jared Anderson that you believe you are. I would love that. I would love also to be in the presence of somebody who had gone through something as humbling as the Bacoli loss, as dark, as doubting whether or not you even want to perform the God-given talent and the incredible ability that you have inside you to take that to its absolute zenith of potential. If you decide that that's not something you want to pursue because of ego, or because you just hate the sport so much that you don't really want to get back out there and test yourself and potentially be humbled again and destroy your own self-image, that is a criminal loss. I want to see Bacoli succeed. I mean, I want to see Anderson succeed. I want to see what he actually can be and do in the sport, which I think sky's the limit. But you got to win the fight inside yourself first. Right now, the only fight that Jared Anderson needs to win is versus Jared Anderson. Grow up, get real, and get in that fucking gym with a mission to do the absolute best you can do. And if we see the best of you, I think everything that you thought about yourself just might be true.
Yeah, that's all. I look at it and it's like, if that's the temperament you've had, I've seen fighters whose hearts are fully into it quit in the ring. And he didn't quit against Martin Bacoli. He got his ass up every time, dutifully, to get dropped again. Charles Martin, when Charles Martin was going upside his head with big straight left hands, he kept coming forward and he won that fight. He dogged that fight out. So it's like, you know, I've seen fighters, you know, quit that really wanted it. And you out of your own mouth don't even really want it and you didn't quit. So just humor me. Like, I just want to see Jared Anderson at 100. I just want to see what that looks like. Jared Anderson at 100%. Now, technical flaws wise, it's not all up here. He has some X's and O's he has to shore up. His defense is leaky. He could be had. His chin is exposed and all that stuff, but he has the upper body flexibility and fluidity that can be worked on and made better. And tonight, you know, he got a win. He went the distance. He didn't look like the Jared Anderson that was blowing through guys like Kolias before Bacoli. But I got to get to a super chat, man, that we can't miss. Drink More Water has been waiting on this for a minute. He says, I heard your question about Tank, Sean. Why did he being Keyshawn Davis, suddenly lose his energy for Tank? He wasn't as enthusiastic after all the clout chasing for the last year. Well, because that mission served its purpose. It got his name out there, and now it's the Keyshawn Davis show is what I think Keyshawn's point is. But yeah, I was saying this before our live got interrupted, which is like these, you know, the new school thought is I'm running my own race. I don't need him. He doesn't need me. We all don't need each other. And it's like, it's a ridiculous concept. It's like, no, it's like Patrick. Yeah. It's Patrick Mahomes. I don't need Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, I'm Jalen Hurts. I don't need Patrick Mahomes. It's like, yes, you do. You're in the same sport competing against each other. You absolutely need each other at some point for all this to have any point to it all. Look, I get it if you're going to give me the hard line that, what do you want me to do? Call out Gervonta and give you some hot quote to get clicks off of, as if that's actually going to make a fight between Gervonta Davis and Keyshawn Davis in 6 months? No. But these big fights, especially in the modern era, they take forever to marinate and to build up. And so if you want this thing to be built up to its proper place anytime soon, the time starts now. You know what I mean? And forget the media guy in front of you. Media is short for medium. I'm just the medium between the fans that tuned in to watch you tonight and you. So get them excited about fighting Gervonta. Don't think of it as giving asshole Sean his quote he's looking for. He's trying to prey upon in the scrum. No, like, let your public know I'm the best lightweight in the world. Gervonta Davis, his ass can get it too. You know, I love Shakur, okay. But anyone besides Shakur, they can get it. It's a new sheriff in town, that kind of thing, in his own much better words than I could put it.
Make the fight. Yeah, just make the fight, bro. Make the fight.
Well, he's not in a position to just make the fight. Right.
But I'm saying that to everybody. I'm not just saying, that's not, thank you for clarifying. Yeah. I'm not just saying that to Keyshawn. I'm saying it to all of these we don't need each other guys, right? Make the fight. You definitely need each other. Boxing needs the fight. And if you want to define yourself as a great, you have to have a rival. And the worst thing in the world is to be a great in a era of mediocres, because you'll never be able to prove how great you were because you don't have the competition that is even close to your level where people can really see the level you're at. That would be a shame. The fact that you guys are blessed with so much talent right in the same weight division, you have
the same fucking last name.
That way, even
the same weight class with the same fucking last name. You're both from the DMV. He's from Maryland. You're from fucking Virginia. What are we doing here?
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. All of them. You are not counting your blessings. You know what I mean? It's an embarrassment of riches. Do
you think Keyshawn would beat Gervonta? I know this stuff has become corny to you. It's like this is the fan fiction, the hypotheticals. Like, how about we actually see it? But yeah, do you think he would?
You took the words out of my mouth, Sean. I am not thinking anybody against Davis.
Which one? Gervonta.
Gervonta. Yeah. There's Keyshawn, and then there's Davis. I think Keyshawn is Keyshawn, and really Gervonta is Tank.
It's Tank.
You know what I mean? So
Tank versus Keyshawn.
Let's battle for who gets to be a Davis.
Yeah, who gets that?
Yeah. Who gets to carry the last name?
The last name's mine. It has my daddy's blood on it now. The last name stays here. It's got my daddy's blood on it.
That's some old school shit right there.
Little Ike Turner reference right there.
I think because there was a Tank Garcia fight, and I definitely had Tank as the favorite in that fight, but because there was that fight, and then Garcia went on to beat, all right, we're not going
to no contest. To no contest, Devin Haney with 3 knockdowns. To no contest,
Devin Haney. But on the night before all the other shit went down, on the night it's images you'll never get out of your mind, and then you can qualify them with the truth of what happened and all the stuff. But when I remember the night, that's the problem. They're images that are burned into your mind, right? So I have to say that Tank is the guy to beat. Tank's the guy to beat. And until somebody does that, he's the guy to beat, which is annoying because he knows that. And I think it is stopping these fights from getting made. I say, at some point it will be diminishing returns where it's just like, come on, man. Like, we may be there already. It's just, if he is not going to face all these guys, then these guys start facing each other. And then I think very quickly he won't be the guy to beat anymore because the other guys are facing each other at these levels that Tank's not fighting at. And then they will become the stars, and they will become the beaters. That's what we open this whole live with. That's the only way around a guy who isn't going to take the fights with his rivals.
That's why Benavidez just fought Morrell. That's why Benavidez just fought Morrell.
Right, and I think Benavidez became a bigger star, and so did Morrell. I want to see Morrell. Sign me up. Wherever he's fighting again, especially if he's fighting at top levels, I'm there, dude. To me, Morrell became a star that night too. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So yeah,
Saint I am.
But I wish I could. I wish I could.
Saint I am is trying to tell me his super chat won't go through. Well, he sent me a super chat saying the super chat won't go through. That Sean, my message won't go through super chat. Saint I am, if you can, just write your question. You don't have to super chat it because you already sent 2 super chats. Thank you, Saint. Just send us a quick. Some people are saying it might be too many characters. Yeah, so maybe break it down in 2 separate things and just get your question in there, Saint. You might have to break it up into 2 messages, but I definitely want to get to it. Shout out to my man Malcolm X Box too, and all the regulars in the chat, man. Thank you guys for joining us this late at night with me and my guy Rahim. So Daryl Lightfoot says no, Sean. He whooped Devin Haney. They didn't want to hear the no contest talk. By the way,
I'm so sorry, Sean. I didn't mean to open that up. Okay. I knew it was gonna. As soon as I came out of my mouth, I was like, oh, here comes the snake. Here comes. I
get their point. They saw what they saw. Ultimately, thankfully, they're gonna have a chance to prove what's what in a rematch. It sounds like. So that's where everything gets answered for me. Garcia might have Haney's number. and might whoop that ass in a rematch. And if he does this time and he makes weight and he passes a drug test, notice I didn't say not take steroids. I said pass a drug test. Then nothing to say. He's got Haney's number, and he may have Haney's number. But if Devin Haney wins a rematch and they both pass a drug test and they both make the same weight, then because I'm not fully convinced about VADA, okay, and their connections with Conti, but that's for another night. Do that another night. So I get your guys' point about being skeptical of all that, but look, these two are going to share a card in New York. I don't know if I'm going to get credentialed to it. I'm going to try, but because I haven't had the most favorable opinions of Riad. I'm sure they'll let your boy in anyways. I'm sure, and it's my hometown. God damn it, you got to let me in. And they'll get to it, man. And in a rematch, they both make weight. They both pass a drug test. Whoever wins, there's no excuses at that point. But, okay, so super chat from, hold on. Still can't see Saint I Am, but I got one from my man, 3500 NU. Thank you for the super chat, brother. It says, hey, Sean and Rahim, who would be a good step up for Abdullah Mason? Is he ready for a Tevin Farmer, a Frank Martin, a De Los Santos type fighter? Look, I think Rahim hasn't really had a chance. He has to get the VPN numbers and all this shit, and he has to be up at 2 in the morning. Full transparency, Rahim hasn't seen a whole lot of Abdullah Mason, so I got this one. Abdullah Mason is so electric. I mean, I saw a kid who might be a phenom, who might be special. Now, we got like what it's gonna come down to on the defensive side of boxing. You either have to be elite, you either have to have an exceptional chin and responsible defense, decent defense, or you have to have exceptional defense and a decent chin, or you're pretty strong in both areas, that kind of thing. So the thing with Abdullah Mason is, can he catch as well as he pitches? Because that young man can pitch. He has it all offensively. Rahim, this dude Abdullah Mason, if he can continue to make 135 pounds as a real grown man, because he's only 20, if he can make it another 2 or 3 years, he's a cheat code at lightweight. He's a cheat code, because to have that much speed and offensive skill and that type of arsenal where you could throw any punch in the book and you can counterpunch, you can time your opponent and shoot shots in between their punches. You got all that, and long arms, and good vision, and speed, and skills, and all. But when you're a puncher, a legit puncher, this kid might be a legit knockout artist at lightweight. To go along with all that, cheat code for as long as he could squeeze down his body to lightweight. So yes, not only do I think I'm kind of high on Frank Martin, who's going up to 140. That's a tough fight, but Zaur Abdullayev, Rahim called that fight, I think. He definitely covered it when Devin Haney broke Zaur Abdullayev's nose in the theater. He won the interim WBC belt. That dude's a solid fighter. He's fighting Raymond Murataya for the vacant IBF that Lomachenko's going to vacate, right? This kid is so fucking good. I think he could beat the winner of that fight this year at 20 years old, 21 years old. Mike Tyson became heavyweight champ at 20. David Benavidez won a WBC title against Ronald Graville at 20. This kid is special. He could win a world title against a Murataya, who's no slouch, or Abdullayev this year. As for a step-up fight, the guys you mentioned, Tevin Farmer's having a rematch with Abdullah Mason. Frank Martin is moving up. De Los Santos has no momentum. He was last seen being in a historically bad CompuBox fight with Shakur Stevenson, that he lost. Do I think Abdullah Mason would beat Edwin De Los Santos right now? Yeah, I do. So he's definitely ready for a step up. He wants to fight for a title this year. That's what he's supposed to say. Does he really believe that's going to really happen? I don't know, but I mean, the kid is special. Unless he's super chinny or has a really leaky defense, this kid is special, dude.
Mason, if you're listening, you should know that Sean has been after me to watch your fights. He has been saying the same thing privately that he's saying publicly. He knows that it's nothing to do with you personally, but until you do fight like a Martin or get in a challenge where you get on that radar, I am not watching. It's not. I only have so much time in every day and so many things that I can follow comprehensively that there's a level at which fighters get to before they get on my radar, and I am not a romantic about potential. Like, I need to start seeing something at a certain level that.
Although my track record with you has always been pretty good with that, right? Almost always.
This is why I had to say that
yeah.
Sean is like on it. And when Sean's on it, that means something. So when he does have the Martin fight or whatever, I will make a point to be like, okay, this is so. Sean, listen, is so much more read in at every level. Like it's a marvel how much Sean knows about fighters at every level of the sport that it is to be commended, acknowledged, and never denied. That requires the kind of commitment and work ethic that very, very, very few have. That I don't even have it in that space. You allocate. So I do a lot more traveling than Sean and shit like this. You got to pick your spots. That's my spot. I'm everywhere in the world that way, but I can't be following the Masons at the level that he's at now. But when I hear the very, very few people that I would trust, Sean being like maybe one of two, then I know. So you're already on the radar because of Sean and because he has the eye and knows what he's looking at. So then you get on my radar a lot quicker. Not that you're aspiring to get on my radar, but it means that I will soon be able to talk about and analyze your performance and potential maybe before I otherwise would. So clearly you're making a lot of noise. I'd love to see that fight at that level. But until then, you're just going to have to let Sean guide you.
You know what's dangerous about him too, Rahim?
Right.
You know what's dangerous about him too? Seriously.
What's that?
He's got it right between the ears, man. You're talking about a lot of these young guys coming up these days with the hubris, and they want to put the horse before the cart and all that. No, this dude is grounded by his brothers and his faith. And I mean grounded, legit. They're not gonna let him get a big head. Like they're that type. They're not just there to ride the coattails. They want little bro to be all he could be and make the Mason name in bright lights. But I get the sense from that family that if he were to ever start having that hubris, they would check him behind closed doors. So I think that, along with the skill set and the punching power, makes him that much more deadly going forward. He is nice. He's nice. And I again, unless the kid's chinny or just it doesn't have a lot of good defense, but when you see all that athleticism and skill on offense, it's like you got to have something on the other end, you would think. It's just these guys, these fighters he's been facing, he got dropped twice in his previous fight, knocked the guy out. I mean, literally got up and knocked him out the next round. But he's been able to fight downhill against everybody, and he acknowledged that after the fight. He said, no one's been able to really put me on my back foot yet, but I'll show you when I need to, and so sky's the limit for him. His biggest battle is going to be at the box office. Can a kind of meek Muslim kid who doesn't talk a whole lot, can he sell? And usually if you don't got a lot of this and
you're in a lighter weight,
you got to really be fucking good, but he might actually be that rare fighter that's so good, he's not going to need a lot of the outward charisma as people would think it is and all that kind of thing. The Ryan Garcia, super good looks. The kid he's not a bad looking kid, but Anyway, they're not all De La Hoya and Garcia, all right? But anyway, let me see if I got another. No, we're good. Yeah, he is a humble kid. What's up, Rude Dog? What's up, everybody? So Rahim's only got about 5.5 minutes left with us. Did you see the Puerto Rican kid Zayas?
No.
Okay,
also,
so
I'm on as long as if you keep sending me links, I'll keep coming back on the chat. Are you going to keep going after this?
We'll see. I think I might. I mean, we got 147 people in here, so.
Yeah, well, let's keep rocking unless you've had enough, unless you've tired of me.
I've only got 12 and a half hours to kill, so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to. I was going to smoke weed at some point, but I can't do that when I'm on the clock, so that's going to have to wait as we continue to talk. Anyway, but, man, now it's 153. See, they won't stop coming in. So Xander Zayas, let me rap about that for a second, Rahim. I think part of what Zayas is fighting uphill against is he's not Miguel Cotto and he's not Felix Trinidad. Like, he's good. He's good, and he's getting better, and he has a good IQ, and he got a knockout tonight. He got a Miguel Cotto-esque left hook to the body knockout. Like, it was good stuff. But he's not as heavy-handed as those guys were. He's not as exciting as those guys were. And he's not as, he's a little bit more Americanized than they were. And sometimes that works against these guys from Mexico or Puerto Rico. Like the less Americanized they are, the more endearing it is to their foundation of their fan base. So he's fighting uphill against a couple people. That's what's got people skeptical. The first thing that jumped out about me in the first round, because I'm getting to see him up close as a more developed product now, not just as a prospect. And I'm like, man, Vergil Ortiz is faster than him. There's a significant, because he's getting up there now where Vergil's one of the names everybody's thinking about with him. Vergil Ortiz is much faster than him, throws more punch. He just throws nonstop heat, Vergil Ortiz. And his speed is actually underrated. He's so aggressive and he throws so many punches and he sits down on everything that people forget. Vergil Ortiz got some fast fucking hands. So I think Zayas and Vergil Ortiz is going to be a really good fight at 154 pounds right now. I just don't think Xander's ready for it yet. And I think he's got good timing. He was a good counterpuncher in the pocket tonight. He started to get a little bit predictable because instead of being a surgeon and placing his shots behind his jab, he was able to, in the pocket, kind of time the guy from Germany, Slomer or something like this, Swoomer. I can't remember off top because it's 3:30, but he fell in love with loading up on his left hook a couple times in the exchanges because he timed him with it once or twice, Rahim. So now it's like, oh, go back to the well. Like, just time him opening up, boom, load up on the hook. So he started getting caught because he became predictable. And, Spoomer's like, okay, you're just going to wait and load up on the hook. I'll time you trying to time me. And now we'll just trade hooks. And now you're giving a guy who's not as good as you his best chance to get something off. He got it. He buckled Xander's knees. Xander righted the ship, started targeting the body because this dude was not going to go down from head punches. He's a tough motherfucker. And he knocked him out to the body. All in all, like, the knockout really punctuated it well. He looked good. I just don't think he looked good enough to make people go, oh yeah, Sebastian Fundora better watch out. Vergil Ortiz better watch out. Bakram Murtazalia better watch out. He looked good, but he's still a work in progress. And he's not Trinidad or Cotto, but he's good. I do like him. Yeah.
Adjustments, again, obviously I didn't watch this fight, but adjustments are what boxing is all about. And as soon as a fighter knows what you're about to do, it's time to make an adjustment. Mm-hmm. If you are becoming predictable, no matter how good the move is, no matter how fast you are, or what a great strategy it is, if your opponent is now able to predict what happens next, then speed is out the window. Power doesn't matter if you're not actually connecting the punches, if the guy is slipping the shot, and he's going to be able to counter you because you've become predictable. You got to be able to make an adjustment right then and there and make him reset the whole table. Oh, fuck, now what is he doing? That's the job. So,
I mean, that was one of the biggest things Floyd Mayweather taught us. Like, because say what you want about Floyd, but there was always something to glean from his boxing IQ, which was as high as like anybody that ever did it. And that's all he would preach is adjustments. And that really originated with Sugar Ray Robinson when people would ask him, did you watch tape on the guy? What's your game plan? And he would go, I don't know until I get in there because every fight's different. And I'm going to adjust to the rhythm of my opponents. And so that Mayweather ideal really goes all the way back to Sugar Ray Robinson. So yeah, adjustments are important. You are about to get kicked out of this meeting, and I will send you another link. And we'll keep it rocking because we have more super chats coming in.
Let's keep it rocking.
Let's go. All right, let me. Well, as soon as he kicks Rahim out, I will give him another one.
Well, the fight tradition, it should just cut me off.
It did. He's done. It cut him off. It cut Rahim off. All right, hold on, chat. Back again. Doom, doom, boom. You know, the people at LaGuardia Airport, they're just getting to hear the best boxing podcast. It's so sweet for them. This is what they wanted at 3:40 in the morning. They wanted to hear this post-fight talk. They wanted it. I know it. I know it's what they wanted. All right. Let's get Rahim back in here. Zoom. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Make my heart go boom, boom. My supernova girl. Oh, yeah. We are getting late with the references. All right. Let me let Rahim know that it was sent. Got a super chat to get to. So, Xander, thank you for the super chat, my man. Dr. Death, thank you, sir. Said, Xander, great footwork, nicer defense, but shots have no pop. I think he's got pop. I think he's got a little bit of heavy-handedness to him. It's just he's not Cotto, he's not Trinidad. I don't think he hits as hard as Virgil. It's kind of like, in a way, kind of like Benavidez at 75, and I think Benavidez hits a little bit harder at 75 than Xander's hitting at 54 right now. But it's like he's got enough to get your attention. What's up, Rahim? They're asking me about. Hold on, let's let Rahim check back in. Hold on. Letting Rahim connect with his audio. Anyway, but back to you, Dr. Death. Yeah, I think he's got power that gets people's attention for sure. He's not Paulie Malignaggi in there. I think he hits harder at his weight class than, Devin Haney hit at 135, for example. So I think Zayas has enough power to get your respect. He got the knockout tonight against a durable guy, reaching to that body. And other fighters like Patrick Teixeira respected Zayas' power enough to not really try to win. Kind of like with Benavidez. People are questioning Benavidez' power at 75, but it was good enough to make Gvozdyk not really try to win the fight. It was good enough to force Morel, who's typically a downhill fighter, to have to fight 2/3 or 3/4 on his back foot. So I think Zayas has respectable power. I just don't think, he told me in the post-fight, he goes, I'm faster than Virgil Ortiz. And I asked him again, I said, you think you're faster than Virgil Ortiz? And he said, yes, I do. I don't think he's faster than Virgil Ortiz. I don't think he punches harder. But one thing he may have over a Virgil Ortiz is a little bit of IQ, a little bit of patience, and timing. He has good timing, and he's a deceptive counterpuncher in the pocket. He still hasn't really became this great counterpuncher on the back foot, but he's good at landing that left hook in between shots. He gets a little predictable with it though. Overall, I like Xander Zayas. I think he's got a good future at 54. I think him and Virgil is gonna be a big fight and a competitive fight. I just think right now it's not. He doesn't. He didn't convince anybody he beats the top dogs tonight. But I still like him and think he's got something. Saint I Am said, salute Sean. Check your IG messages. Okay, I'll check that. And maybe that is where your super chat is. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is gonna be a long one, Rahim, from Saint. He finally got this sent over to us.
Okay.
Hello, Sean. This was for Turkey, etc. First off, respect to you and what you do for boxing. I appreciate your efforts and work. I'll jump right into it. I truly believe I have a great idea for boxing. If you would take a low, please see the attached link below. Please read the notes. Okay. Nothing is that. It's just a draft. I'd love to collaborate on this idea of mine. It's a tournament event. Okay, Saint, I will respond back. I got to be able to click on your link and everything and check that out, but I will get back to you once me and Rahim wrap up this live. Thank you, brother. I got to check your link and everything you sent. And then Saint I Am said, great interview with Terrence. I hope his words put you at ease. American boxing is here to stay. The sport is just elevating, don't you think? He's asking me that, Rahim, because after the fight, I asked Terrence, got his reaction to Keyshawn, and I go, hey man, some people like me are kind of worried about like boxing in the United States as fighters like you and Canelo take this money overseas in Riad. I worry about how that's going to affect the ecosystem that you might be leaving behind for a little while. the next kid who wants to be the next Terrence Crawford, he may not get to watch Terrence Crawford in America anymore. All that kind of shit. And he looked at me like, what are you tripping about? I'm fighting Canelo in Las Vegas. Like, the Canelo fight's happening in America. I told you. You did too. You did. No, I know that's what everyone's been told. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if Mohammed bin Salman tells Turkey, no, you're not. Look, the whole point of getting these guys is to promote Riyadh season and to help Vision 2030 and our Saudi Arabian, economic goals and agendas. It's not about you making these best fights in America. Get the fuck out of here.
I don't think that's fair, Sean.
Okay.
I don't think that's fair.
No, it's just a hunch I have.
I don't think it's fair. I think because it's not true. Well, it's not fair. Both things can be true. He absolutely doesn't have to do all of this to promote 2030. He could just do what was being done before, literally just pay a site fee whenever boxing figures its shit out and has some massive fight that nobody wants to pay for, but is a good spectacle. Have them do it in Saudi with no real first-hand involvement, pay way less money, give them like $10 million just to have it in Saudi and let their usual suspects run the sport and just make it a destination fight 2 or 3 times a year. That's very easy to do. But don't forget the fight we were just talking about, or I was talking about with Jared Anderson in LA. That was a terrible loss of money, and it wasn't even a great look. There was a massive fight in London that broke records at Wembley that very easily could have been in Saudi.
Joshua
but
Dubois.
ended up being one of the biggest fights in London ever, and certainly by the numbers, the biggest fight ever. And this fight is in Vegas, announced in Vegas, happening in Vegas at a time of year when Riyadh season is on. So not only is that like the opening of Riyadh season in September, but it is very easily done in Saudi for way less money, and he's putting it in Vegas because that's where it should be. You can't ignore that or be like, oh, that doesn't count. That absolutely counts. And all the other little things that he's doing in the sport that don't need to be done if it's just about promoting Saudi Arabia. And at the same time, why shouldn't he be promoting Saudi Arabia and have that motivation in addition to being a fucking like obvious avid boxing fan and in a position to better the sport? We cannot deny that the sport is better for this, and that even his motivations can't be assailed uniformly. Like, I don't even know, you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't see no problem.
Look,
It's not that.
if the fight does come off in September in Las Vegas, then okay, cool, right?
But why wouldn't it?
Huh?
So where's the skepticism?
It hasn't been confirmed. His exact quote was, "I'd prefer to have the fight in Las Vegas under one condition." And then he kind of never made that condition fully clear in that interview with Mike Coppinger. That was the direct quote. And okay, so let me have a little fun, Rahim. Okay, just relax.
Right, yeah.
Let me have a little fun.
Enjoy yourself.
I will. So you love Casino like I love Casino. Martin Scorsese,
Yeah.
Robert De Niro. You remember when they tell him maybe he should think of doing something else in regards to De Niro running the casino? And the old man has to tell him, look, when they tell you should think of doing something else, that means you do something else and you move to another town. It's not a suggestion. It's you need to get the picture here. So when Bob Arum leaked that Mohammed bin Salman and all of them may have been angry at how that went down in LA, they lost a lot of money and all this stuff. And in my opinion, maybe he's also like, bro, the point of this shit is to bring it to Riyadh. It's not to strengthen American boxing or make these fights they want to see in America. This is our thing. And we're trying to replace Vegas. We're not trying to strengthen Vegas. And we're paying out Canelo these 4 fights of ridiculous money, and the biggest one of them all isn't going to be here, and so the point being that, remember, De Niro's character gets a little carried away. He starts to really think it is his casino. And he's like, no, I got to be on TV so they know they can't fuck around. And they're like, you could have took the custodian job. And point being, this casino stuff is getting to his head. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if it's like, hey, when I told you that I didn't like how shit went down in LA last summer, that was supposed to be your hint that we're not doing that no more. And Turkey, when he's like, no, it's cool. Like, it's my private fund. It won't come out of the government money. I bought the ring. Like, the ring's the promote. Like, it's my shit. It's cool. I wouldn't be surprised if MBS is like, no, it's not cool. The biggest fight of this 4-fight deal we just did with Canelo, and the biggest of them is not happening in Riyadh. You got to let those motherfuckers know it is happening in Riyadh. So you heard it here first. If there's a plot twist and the fight is happening in Saudi and not in Vegas, I think my conspiracy theory is kind of on the money.
Let me add a little seasoning to your beef. No Diddy. If what you're saying is true in the characterization,
it's a fun theory, right?
It's
fun, right?
Making me laugh. Your analogy between Roth and Al-Sheikh is hilarious.
Sam Rothstein.
But also, oh well, okay.
Yeah.
I call
not
it.
Hyman
you
Roth.
Know as good as, as well as I do.
Yeah.
You Rothstein, you short it to Roth. You know what I mean?
Right.
We have blueberries.
Ace Rothstein, right?
Ace Roth. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the analogy is hilarious. But what it would belie is that the very man whose intentions you say are not in the interest of promoting boxing to the best of his ability and not in the interest of the sport. What you're saying is, if he were to be going against the grain to put the fight in Vegas, well, wouldn't that communicate that he is in fact committed to doing what is best for the sport and even willing to catch some friction so that he can do it? I mean, why would he, if he had the same aims as you described in your conspiracy theory, which he doesn't care about anything but Saudi, he doesn't care about anything but 2030, and all this boxing stuff is just a means to an end, and he has no real passion or heart in it, then why would he want this smoke? He wouldn't even consider doing anything but that. He's also
for the same reason. De Niro
supposed to be in Alcatraz.
For the same reason De Niro did it. It's ego. All these guys have ego. It's like.
But he gets no. There's nothing in that for him. And the difference between Ace and His Excellency is Ace had no power in the situation. He was the Jew amongst the Italians, and he was you better go get your own fucking army, pal.
Right.
His Excellency's got his own army. He's in there. He's one of them. He's got it. He's good. If anything, you know what I mean? He's the, well, I'm not going to continue with off the charts. But I don't. The only thing that jives is that he is doing something because Sam thought he was right. He was doing what, in Rothstein's mind, he was doing what was right. Like in the senator hearing, he was like, well, you admit that you were at least at the table. Like, I'm doing what's right. You guys are trying to paint me like I'm doing what's wrong, and you guys are all in on it. If anything, that's what I take away from the analogy. The guy's like, yo, I gotta do this because this is right. Don't pull me up on it. I'm making boxing what it should be and what it never has been, to be fair. And the proof is in the pudding. Like, yes, LA was a shit show in regards to, how much money they made, and, the fights weren't great. They, I'm sure.
There's some good fights.
Bob was smarting. I mean, I said they weren't great.
Yeah.
Good. They were good. You know what I mean? It didn't.
Don't hate on Riad season. Don't do that.
It didn't.
No.
I'm always fair and honest, and that's the thing. And so I'm sure Bob was pissed because of the Anderson thing. You know, he's not the type to just let that go. So if he had a chance to take a shot, he's going to take that shot on that specific card for sure. But you got to counter that with the Wembley at London. Like I said, I've been to countless fights in London. I've been to plenty more than 2 hands full of fights at Wembley. That place was rocking to the rafters. He had, fucking Liam Gallagher, I think it was, playing. These people went crazy for that show. Joshua gets knocked out by the underdog. It had all the stuff, and it was not going to be a fight at that level production-wise, or that packed without Riad season, even with those exact same fighters on the card. So, I do think it's going to be in Vegas because it's on the schedule, on the ESPN schedule. Like every place I'm seeing, that's cited as the location. I thought it was done. Which, maybe you're right. Maybe it's
ESPN
not
also said Canelo Jake
done.
Paul was on its way to being finalized, which apparently it was. But
fair play, Sean. I get you. I mean, wait and see. And just
I got to be real with you. In the last 48 hours, I just totally lied to you. Got to be real with you. No different than Bob Arum. Yesterday I was lying. Today I'm telling the truth. No different.
Yeah, I mean, that is, when playing the media for...
and then Al Heyman's like, I never lied.
That's
and
novel.
And then Al Heyman's like, I never lied to you because I never talk. I never talk.
But while we're pulling that thread, the fact that Canelo's fighting on Cinco de Mayo, that will be in Saudi, that final weekend. You think that fight gets done in Vegas, even sells out, or happens if that fight has to happen in Vegas? I don't think so. I think that's kind of Saudi in a sense, taking a hit to get the 4-fight deal with Canelo, let him fight in May without having to figure out how to pack an arena. I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't even think you get that skull fight if Saudi's not willing to be the location for it. You're certainly not getting it in Vegas, and if you do, it'll be embarrassing because I don't think they sell that out.
Yeah, Canelo was getting into an interesting position where it's like, no, seriously, who are you going to fight if you're not going to fight Crawford or Benavidez? Like, there's no one left, dude. You took out Munguia and Berlanga. Those were your 2 undefeated young bulls, and you got rid of them. What are you going to do, rematch Caleb Plant? You're going to fight Chris Eubank Jr.? What are you going to do? And he's like, I'm going to sign this 4-fight deal. That's what the fuck I'm going to do. And you could kiss my ass, Sean. Now, the best part about this for Canelo is he's now not going to have to field my annoying Benavidez questions anymore. I won't even be in the same country as him. He can just enjoy his fight week. I can enjoy his fight week. I can just...
He's coming to your backyard in September, Sean. You're going to be face-to-face with Canelo in just a handful of months on the biggest fight of the year. Yeah. And you'll have to ask about the same shit you've been asking about without getting the answers that you deserve.
Yeah.
Again. You know what I mean?
That the people deserve.
Build out the pool house, because I'm coming to stay at Zittel Manor. Just so every day I can remind you that we're in town together.
All right, let's do it. Let me see. I got a super chat from Ralphie Raigoza. Thank you, Ralphie. He said, I believe Xander isn't ready for the champions yet, Xander Zayas. I think some fights that could make Xander a legitimate contender is Ramos. That's a good fight. Jesus Ramos. Erickson Lubin is the perfect kind of opponent for Xander Zayas right now. That's perfect. Conwell. Now, Charles Conwell, I like Charles Conwell. And I wouldn't put, if my whole goal right now is Xander, I'm not even putting him in with Charles Conwell right now. I don't fight, if I'm managing a fighter, I don't fight Charles Conwell unless I have to fight Charles Conwell. Charles Conwell, you're familiar, right? He was an Olympian 2016, I think it was, and the dude brings the smoke. Really good pressure fighter, hand speed, solid power, high work rate, tough, ripped cut up like a bag of dope and hungry. A hungry fighter from Cleveland. Man, I like Charles Conwell so much that your question about Xander just turned into a Charles Conwell question, because I need to see Charles Conwell fight Virgil Ortiz or one of these top dogs. Charles Conwell, I'm not saying this because he's a brother, he is the dark horse of the super welterweight division. But he is, goddammit. He is. I'm high on Charles Conwell. I think he's going to mess up some paydays in the super welterweight division. But Xander, back to Xander, Erickson Lubin would be the perfect fight for Xander Zayas. The perfect fight right now. And it'd be a very difficult fight because, Lubin's no slouch, but his durability is not the best. So, yeah, I'm with you. Basically, everything you said is what I said. Ralphie. Thank you, Ralphie. So, yeah, people in the chat are co-signing my Conwell praise. We're up at 160 people now. So that's a good feeling. Man. Oh, Jack Catterall is for sure going to beat Arnold Barboza today. For sure.
Oh, I can't wait for that. I was at the press conference, the kickoff for it, right?
Right.
In Manchester, and it was the day before, I think, I think it was the day before Chisora or something. But anyway, I was there on that press conference, and I got to admit, I didn't know that the beef was so hot between the two of them. Like, sitting at the table during the, face-off kind of setup with Hearn in the middle, I was like, oh, this shit came out the gate quick. And Barboza is
he's
like
fiery,
talking bad shit.
Yeah.
I'm more like, this is one of those times when the hype helps me get into the fight. Like, I'm way more invested in the fight now than I would have otherwise been. I didn't know. Barboza convinced me that at least he's coming to win and believes he's got something that can get the W. But you think he's got no shot?
No, I was being kind of funny. He does. It's not like... Oh. Like, I think Catterall's going to win. That's definitely my pick, because Catterall was a bad scorecard away from being like the undisputed super lightweight champion. You know what I mean? And his left hand is very good. He's very good at managing the fight with his left hand. It's a really good punch. He even has he fights as much as he has to, Catterall. Like, he's not, you got to bring a higher pace out of him. Otherwise, he's just going to snipe with the left hand, and he'll be content to do that for 12 rounds. And if you go down, great. But if not, he'll just win a decision. If you make him step it up, he has something beyond that left hand he walks you into. Look, I saw Arnold Barboza on the Devin Haney-Ryan Garcia card arguably lose to Sean Puffy McCombs. Okay? His name was really Sean McCombs from Ireland, but I'm going to call him Sean Puffy McCombs. And, Sean Puffy McCombs was a tall, unheralded Irishman who, to the eyes of many that night in Brooklyn, beat Arnold Barboza. There's quite a bit of difference in levels between Sean Puffy McCombs and Jack Catterall. So, they fight the fights for a reason. Barboza's undefeated. He's hungry. He brings that Los Angeles toughness, got some hood in him from L.A. You know L.A. hood when you see it. He's got it. But I think Catterall's just better than him. And Catterall is good. He's good. He might not be, pound for pound, superstar, all the elite, but he's a legit top 5 to 10 guy in any division he's campaigning at. So I got Catterall all day. I do.
I think that chip on Catterall's shoulder, I'm sure he would much rather have gotten undisputed and had the scorecards be accurate. But because it wasn't, and he didn't, I think he's constantly now in every fight proving that he should have been, that he was robbed, and he's got a different kind of anger and spite in him than he would have had before being denied undisputed. And for Barboza's sake, yeah, I've seen a lot of guys that can talk a great game, and he talked me into it, but I don't think that is enough to shake Catterall or to make Catterall think about it. Like, he's gonna have to prove it, right? And if he does, Sean,
credit to him.
What would Barboza do if he were to win? What would he have to do to be successful tonight?
He's got to find a way to not get beat by that left hand of Catterall. And he's got to find a way to cut the distance, get underneath that left hand, and work his combinations. Catterall is more of a pot shot artist. He'll put some combinations together in spots, but they're few and far between. He wants to snipe with the left hand. If you can figure that out, if you're Barboza, navigate getting past it and throwing punches in bunches, forcing the pace like Josh Taylor tried to do but couldn't really do, then, he's in business. If he could get in close and punch in combination and make him miss the one pot shot left hand, get underneath it, get around it, whatever you got to do to circumvent it and get to your spot in the ring, which is going to be more inside than it is on the outside, then Barboza's in business. But, again, the height of McCombs, the unheralded Irishman, he had a big problem getting past that. And he does have a good right hand, though, Barboza. He does know how to throw the right hand against the southpaw. And, Catterall's southpaw, so that's going to be important. And then there's also a chance that Catterall fights up or down to his level of opposition. I mean, you mentioned he's been fighting with more spite since he got robbed. That happened to Juan Manuel Marquez back in the day. Like, he's this natural counterpuncher. A couple of close calls against Pacquiao and Keshawn didn't go his way, and it clicked for him. Like, okay, I gotta step it up. And but if Catterall forgets that lesson that he's learned, that could definitely help Barboza. So, but I think Catterall wins. He's got a good left hand. I'm a fan of his left hand.
Yeah, he's got to be. I wonder what the odds are. It's got to be the odds-on favorite, though.
I will check right now. I don't think it's super wide, but Catterall's the favorite last time I checked. And then Oscar, chat, who is Oscar Duarte fighting? I know I favored Duarte. I remembered the matchup for the longest time, and now I can't remember. But he was supposed to fight Prograis, and then that fell through. I just know Catterall is minus 255. So he's a legit favorite. Not huge. Yeah. He's not as big an underdog as Kid Austin is against Shakur, and I actually think Kid Austin has a chance next Saturday. I do. Nobody else thinks that. See, yes, nobody thinks this. Bro, just put it this way. Look, Kid Austin having a chance at shaking up the lightweight division, it only happens under this circumstance, and it's a possible circumstance, is if Shakur Stevenson has an early onset of Zab Judah Adrian Broner-itis. He's just not letting his fucking hands go, because he did that against Jeremiah Nakatia. He did it against Edwin De Los Santos. They set records in that fight, the Edwin De Los Santos fight. And even though he threw over 400 punches, he kind of did it for long stretches against Artem Hardatunian in his last fight. So there's been more than one example of him not letting his hands go. And like you saw that happen with Zab Judah and Adrian Broner. The difference is they got a couple of beatings before that really took hold permanently, right? And Stevenson hasn't taken that beating. But if he has one of these nights, which he's shown us he's capable of on 2 or 3 separate occasions in just about 20 fights, it's a decent proportion right there, then Kid Austin could pull this off, bro. As long as he don't mind missing 80 to 90% of his punches, he could out-hustle Shakur. If Shakur meets him halfway and isn't letting his hands go and isn't taking advantage of the counterpunch opportunities, and you're there like you were when you'd watch a Zab Judah or Adrian Broner fight, screaming at the TV, let your hands go, but they just won't because of a psychological block, and his hands are messed up. He's messing up his hands. Something funny could happen. You heard it here first. I'm not picking Kid Austin, but I do foresee a scenario that I just laid out where you could get a huge upset.
To your point about Shakur's previous performances, when I spoke to him at the Ring Magazine event, this fight is, and he knows this, his opportunity to be a star. And no matter what he says, the criticism bothers him.
Of course.
He regrets not being more active in the fight. He regrets not having more volume in his punches.
He admits that at first, and then he gets a little defensive. But his initial response is he cops to it. And then he rationalizes it like, you motherfuckers don't know boxing. My hand was hurt, and I still walked out of there undefeated in a chance. You know, and I get that. I get it. But go on. Right,
but
go on.
He knows and simultaneously put himself in league with big money in Saudi on Riad season cards if he can shine. Because what this fucking thing is on the 22nd is a talent contest. All of these fights, you can make a case for either side, right? We've got favorites all the way down the card. Everybody's got their favorite, but the point is, everybody's favorite's not the same. And no matter which fight you pick, I can make a case for either guy, which is what makes it such a tremendous
This
card.
is actually the fight with the steepest odds. Like, the rest of them are pretty close to, like, 50-50. This is the only one with really wide odds, is the Shakur fight.
And with that said, these guys are coming out to steal the show. There is no particular fight on here that's definitely going to be the most entertaining. We got to watch and see which one bubbles to the top. And each of them know it's almost like I say, it's like a talent contest. They know that first prize can go to anybody. And first prize on a Saudi card is a big checkout next time. You want to be the guy that everybody's talking about when this card is finished. I think Shakur can eclipse so much bad press, so much boring minutes with one fight. If he can get out, show up and show out, overnight, the narrative about him changes.
I'm just tantalized by Kid Austin's athleticism. Like, I get it. He's super wet behind the ears. I don't even know if his father is really going to be ready for this stage. Like, I don't know if the dad's going to panic in the corner and all that kind of stuff. And it's not that I think Kid Austin is super skillful, but he's very athletic and he's hungry. And he has speed and pop in his punches to go along with that speed. And he's not afraid of throwing them 5-6 times. Every now and then when he's at his best, he tries to get his Sugar Shane Mosley on. He really does. Like, he tries to, he tries to let them go, and with some heat, with some bad intentions. And if Shakur gets caught early, that could trigger that psychological, I'm not going to let my hands go
make
thing.
Him tuck up and be like, all right, well, I'm not going to lose this fight.
Right.
I think we're going to see a Shakur we've never seen before. I think what I just set as the table for Shakur is going to motivate him to do things in a way that he's never done them before, and it'll either work or it won't. And to your point, if it doesn't work early, that's another different kind of test. Does he go away from it and reflexively go back to what's working, even if it isn't critically acclaimed? That's a hell of a good question.
And then get out hustled, and at the end of the fight, tell everybody, how did I lose this fight? He wasn't landing anything. It's like, yeah, but you weren't throwing anything. And that's how you lose this fight if you're Shakur. And if that does happen, that's not a terrible thing for the lightweight division. Like, it is in a way, because people are going to look, even if Kid Austin upsets Shakur, it'll be to casual people, he may have a more exciting style. And so now you have technically 3 exciting styles at the lightweight division: Tank, Keyshawn, and Kid Austin. But Kid Austin, even if he upsets Shakur in the fashion I'm saying he could get it done, where it's really Shakur meeting him halfway as much as it is him taking the fight, people are not going to want to put Kid Austin in there with Tank right away. And so it does lose some luster in that regard. Like, oh, now Shakur and Tank's up in smoke. But it's not the worst thing in the world to have some young, hungry, athletic kid who likes to throw combinations and punches and bunches pull off a big upset. Like, that's not a boring shakeup in the lightweight division. So we'll see.
Do you think we get Tank on a Riad season card eventually?
It could be an inevitability at this point. I mean,
you see that podcast he did with, is it Yachty?
Yeah, Lil Yachty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised isn't the right word, but I was interested in what he said about Riad season and
2 or 3 or 4 Ferraris.
Yeah, but his thinking along those lines is that he won't get a fair shake out there, and that if you want him to, what he considers to be risk losing on a card no matter what happens, he's saying he feels like he needs a knockout to get a W, which I, again, totally disagree with. It's so odd that I feel like I'm constantly defending Riad season as if it's my job to do so, which it isn't. However, I feel like I'm also being fair, and there's just every time this criticism, like, it's not that there's nothing to criticize, but the criticisms that I hear are just not accurate, and the premise for his concern, I think, is very much quintessentially American, in that this is something that you would be worried about with promoters in America in your backyard, or yes, globally, if the promoter was, Russian and you're fighting a Russian and you're in Russia, and, yes, that's something that you would have to be concerned about. But I got to tell you,
dude, that was you with Ryan Garcia.
It's wait, what I said?
I'm saying Gervonta's like, oh, well, like, Devin's his guy. Like, I feel like he'd want Devin to win. It's like, yeah, like when Ryan Garcia fought on Showtime against you, like, they totally wanted you to win. Yes, that's
yeah.
It was Ryan's job to go in there and find a way to knock you out, despite what they wanted. Just like, even if you're theoretically right, it's your job to go in there and whoop Devin's ass, and to where they don't take it away from you. And I get it.
But these perceptions of disadvantage and these kind of things that are usually rooted in truth, ironically, at least thus far, have been disproven in Saudi. Because one thing I'll give you that I was critical of, I didn't think His Excellency should be putting his finger on the scale publicly about who he wants to win. Now, there's 2 arguments to that. Maybe if you want somebody to win and you're behind the scenes saying it and believing it and wanting to set up fights because of it, then you should be transparent and honest that that's what it is. But I thought you're in such a position of power that the appearance of impropriety is too much for you to be publicly saying, I want Fury to win. I want Joshua to win. I think because you're so central to the whole thing and you are dictating what happens, that you should not have a public favorite. There's 2 arguments to be made there. If you do have a favorite, maybe you just be honest with the public. But I was like, okay, then if something goes wrong with the scorecards, or if something, gets funky, then I'm not going to be able to convince Sean that you didn't corrupt the system, right? And then he goes out publicly, unabashedly, supports Joshua, supports Fury, supports Bivol. And in each one of those cases, which in each case close enough fights for people to debate the cards, the guy he did not support got the W. Ironically, it turns out that is a feather in Riad season's cap, and certainly His Excellency saying that this guy is definitely in a position to corrupt the system. We've seen far less powerful promoters corrupt the system, and he clearly had an agenda that would have benefited him and Riad season and all the stuff for the fighters he was wanting to win, and they still didn't win close fights. It wouldn't have been a super robbery if it had gone the other way. In fact, in Bivol's case, I think it would have gotten less criticism if it had gone Bivol's way. And still, his fighter didn't win.
So
I think, if anything, Gervonta is in a neutral space more so than anything else if he fights on a Riad season card.
He hit him with the old misdirection, huh? Like Bivol, Fury. I'm kidding.
That's hilarious. That's funny, except that there's clearly an agenda to support why he wants to set up. He wants.
I'm kidding.
You know what I mean? He wants Bivol. He would love to have been able to offer the Bivol Canelo as May 5th for Undisputed, and I believe me, he'd prefer to be doing that to Skull.
Someone's super chat by Ralphie said, should Benavidez fill in for Cinco de Mayo weekend? This was Rahim's idea like last week that David should. The Morel fight was a little too physically taxing that I think he could turn around and fight Cinco de Mayo. That's just me. Unless it's for lack of a better word, unless you can find a guy outside of the top 10 and kind of have a legit main event attached to Benavidez. But Benavidez ain't going for all that. But yes, I think moving forward, Benavidez should be the guy. If Canelo's not occupying them in the States, he should definitely be the guy holding it down on Cinco de Mayo weekend and Mexican Independence Day weekend. Definitely. But
is there any? Go ahead.
But I'm gonna have to send you another Zoom link too. And but it's like. He's that might have to wait. He might have to go to Saudi to fight for the light heavyweight title. Beterbiev and Bivol can't sell, but they're the champions, and the guys writing their big checks, they're holding it. They're the ones controlling the light heavyweight crown. And as much as I love Benavidez for wanting to sell in America as an American draw, he's got to go handle his business against You guys get what the fuck I was saying. He got to handle his business with the light heavyweight title. That's what he's got to do. You guys knew where that take was headed. All right, one more link to Rahim, and we're gonna call it a night. This is gonna be the final one. It's the final Zoom link to Rahim. All right. Yeah, you guys get my point. David, probably has to go to Riad to handle that. Man, I'm so grateful that 150 of you decided to hang out with us this late. Just checking some old things you guys said. What's up, Rick Timms? What's up, Big Supreme? Kingdred Hard. Keyshawn versus Shakur, who wins, gets Tank. I would favor Keyshawn. We all know we're never getting Keyshawn versus Shakur. We might eventually. Daryl Lightfoot says, I respect radio. Malcolm X Box says there's no way Gervonta would ever, his team would ever let him fight Keyshawn. Let me see something here. David Benavidez versus Jesse Hart and Caleb Plant versus Charlo. Make it happen in Vegas. It's not bad. It's not a bad idea. Oh, Sean, do Teddy Atlas impression with Bang. Okay. All right. Rahim could listen to this. Hold on. All right, so Keyshawn Davis is naturally a counterpuncher. He's naturally a counterpuncher, but he could lead. He's got a good jab. He's got good reflexes. He's got long arms. So what he did tonight with Baranchyk, he had him come in and bang! Got him to the body. Baranchyk didn't see it coming. Davis very smart, leading with the jab first, walking him into shots, and then bang! With that left hook to the body. Rahim, someone requested through a super chat.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Yeah, I feel like you were maybe in Mike Tyson's corner.
Yeah.
At some time, maybe your name is synonymous with a book of locations in America.
He shrugged.
Maybe your first name is a talk. Are we talking? Ted Atlas.
Teddy
right
Atlas.
There?
That's right. 90% of this game is mental, Rahim. 90%.
I named that tune in one note, Sean. As soon as I came on, I was like, okay, I don't know why he's doing a Teddy Atlas impression, but
And Abdullah Mason, he's good with the uppercut. Sometimes he gets himself in trouble because he wants to throw the uppercut from too far out, like he did against Vasquez. But what he's good at is he goes in the high guard, bang, bang, right there. So there you go. There's the bang. Thank you for the super chat, boxing. Oh, by the way, Virgil Ortiz all day against Madrimov. I see people, the books, the odds. I really am discovering this American bias, aren't I, within myself? Mm-hmm. But that being said, Virgil Ortiz over Madrimov all day. As a matter of fact, he might beat him better than Crawford did.
Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, I want to get to that. But then when you got cut off, when I got cut off while you were
Benavidez, yeah, taking over Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, so I had a question on that point. Okay, so if it's not Benavidez, who is missing an opportunity? Is anybody in a position right now to step into that date this year? Because you may not get this opportunity again for who knows how long, especially since in September it's going to be in Vegas. You are sitting at home right now, missing an opportunity to get a fight on Cinco de Mayo in Vegas. Who could take that right now and be like, you know what, this is my chance to shine?
It sucks that Bam Rodriguez isn't 30 or 40 pounds heavier, because it would easily be him. I mean, it still could be him.
It's so funny to say that.
Yeah, but at 115, 118 pounds, it's a tough sell. Not saying he can't do it. Inoue found a way to do it in Japan, but that's a little situational. They don't have fighters. I mean, they had Ryota Murata, but for the most part, that's their neighborhood. Is the lightweight the lower weight classes. And in America, we get welterweights and middleweights, and well, we don't have middleweights anymore. Middleweight sucks now. But anyways, you get my point. Bam fights big as hell. Bam fights 6'9". Like his fight game is as big as Tyson Fury. He might be the best fighter in the world, pound for pound, if not top 5 type fighter. He's just too little. It's got to be Benavidez. The kid in the Canelo camp. You know how I'm good at serving up the young guys for you. Marco Verde Alvarez, I think is his name. Definitely Marco Verde is his name. He actually won an Olympic medal for Mexico. They never do that in the Olympics. That's not their game. Their game is the pros. That kid has got next for Mexico. Good-looking kid, really talented southpaw. He's Mexican, so you know he's tough to go along with the Olympic pedigree. But he's 0-0. Like, he can make his debut on this card, this hypothetical card. It's Benavidez, but it's Benavidez is the answer for now. Bam Rodriguez is a little too small to fill those shoes, unfortunately, I think. Yeah.
Well, okay, Sean. Yes, I would say Benavidez is the obvious choice, but if you're right and you think it's been too much damage done against Morrell and he just
Ryan
Garcia.
Yeah, Ryan.
Wait. What's he's got a fight though.
Yeah, I know. In May. He's technically doing it already. He's technically doing it already. Yeah.
Is he May 10th?
No, I think he's May 2nd. I think they go on the day before Canelo and Skull.
Day before?
I think
so.
So.
That doesn't make any sense. Oh, that is what's happening. That's right, because Turkey was like, I'm going to go to that fight, and then I'm going to fly through the night to get back for...
Yeah. I mean, Ryan could become the biggest star in boxing if he gets his head on right and wins a bunch of big fights. He could be the biggest thing there is in boxing.
Yeah, they could just move that fight to Vegas, huh?
No, they're going to have it free in the middle of Times Square.
Yeah, I know. That's so... I tell you what, my answer actually is Tank Davis. It makes the most sense. he would take Floyd mantle back. If he gets through Roach without injury and goes right back into camp, and then imagine this. You ready for this? Keyshawn had such an easy night out. If Tank can have a fairly easy night out, or at least not take any real damage against Roach, Cinco de Mayo weekend, Tank takes over the date with a Keyshawn fight.
Now who's pushing the fan fiction? Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right, sure. Yeah.
I'm saying though, if Tank got in there, he could own that date. And if that's how he did it, like, you know what? I'm taking Vegas back. I'm now the new guy taking over from the Floyd Mayweather blueprint. I'm taking over from Canelo. This is my town now. I'm doing it. And then start fighting all the fights we want on those dates, fighting twice a year, doing those dates. I think he would eclipse Canelo. I think he could take it from Canelo if he did it like that.
It's amazing that Floyd even finessed that, even worked that. Like, how did he get us to a point where Mayweather Mosley, Cinco de Mayo weekend?
Yeah.
How the fuck did he do that? Like, that's
by beating up Mexicans
on their best.
Yeah. And so now they gotta go cheer for somebody to beat the guy who beats up all the Mexicans. Yeah, like we said before, like I've said multiple times, you can count on a guy buying a ticket to watch you lose a lot more than you can count on a guy buying a ticket to watch you win.
The chat's gonna now think that you reveled in that. The brother beating the Mexicans every holiday. I already know what they're
funny.
like.
Yeah. It was funny though, because I'm there every time and I'm seeing them. They fucking hate it. They're having such a good time. It's the greatest weekend in Vegas every year, and they're just wanting somebody to beat this fucking guy. He didn't have to be Mexican. It could have been Shane Mosley, and they'd be just as happy.
It almost was Shane Mosley.
Maybe I would say the only person who came closer than Shane was probably Maidana.
Yeah, and Castillo, of course, if we're gonna take it way back to 2002.
Was that in Vegas though?
It was at MGM, but this is before Floyd was Floyd.
This is before of course, yeah. But anyway, I would be lying if I didn't say that I didn't find amusement in that every year. And then also their dejection after the fight when once again it didn't happen. But at the same time, they're conflicted because they're having such a good time just being in Vegas for the whole weekend. It's a fun time, you know. We built our friendship in that era.
Someone wants me to do my Floyd Mayweather impersonation. My Floyd Mayweather impersonation. It's gotten so bad. All I got left is the hands and a couple faces. I can't even really say words like Floyd anymore. All I could do is.
How'd you lose it? What do you mean? You can't do classic Floyd anymore? What's happening?
If my ear isn't around you often enough, long enough, I start to lose it. Like,
you weren't practicing. You should have been doing it. You know what I mean, with your kids and teaching them the Mayweather.
Yeah, it's so much of it just comes from doing this with your hands. It's just, we're not here to talk about. You know, when those,
like I said before.
Like I said before. Yeah, great fucking fighter, though. Great fighter. Do I think he would have beaten Leonard and Hearns at 47? No, but that's about it. That's about it. Just about every guy I picked to beat Floyd was bigger than him. Like, I picked Sugar Ray Robinson, I picked Sugar Ray Leonard, I picked Thomas Hearns. These were men that wound up fighting at light heavyweight. So, of course, I picked them to beat him at welterweight, you know, but that's for another day. Yeah. He wasn't always nice to you. Yeah.
No. Nobody's always nice to me, and that is troubling. Like, it would be nice if somebody was always nice to me. That would be great. Is that what it's like to be a normal person in the world? Like, is that how everybody else experiences life? That there's somebody who's always nice? I wonder what that would be like.
No.
I did cut you off so I could go back to the May 5th thing.
Yeah.
And now I don't remember what it was. That
I
you
have
were
Virgil
raising.
beating Madrimov.
Oh, Madrimov.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am of the opinion that Madrimov did better in the Crawford fight than most people think he did. I was impressed with his performance.
There was a minute there
I think,
before Bud came on strong in the championship rounds where it's like this could definitely get away from Crawford. Like it got hairy. Around rounds 9, when Madrimov kept landing his right hand and he kind of came back from Crawford's early lead, it was like this shit is getting really tight down the stretch. And then Crawford hit another gear in those championship rounds and pulled it out. But yeah, it was very competitive.
yeah, I'm surprised that he didn't get more credit from the writers and the public for that. I thought, so I would like to see. I mean, like, let's see how he shows up. Because it could be one of those taken class moments also. Like, maybe he got schooled up a bit and will come back and better. And if he does, I think he wins that fight. If he levels up from what I saw of Crawford, I think I'm picking him.
Yeah. No, a lot of people are. And I'm picking Ortiz for kind of simple reasons. It's the stuff that sticks out to an easy eye. Like, I just think he throws. I think everything he throws is fast and hard. I think he punches very hard, even though he never dropped Baranchyk and Baranchyk dropped him twice. But I think he's got power, combinations, and hand speed, and a good jab too. And he does get a little reckless, and he throws everything at one speed. And Madrimov's the more savvy guy, the more, especially with that right hand. Like, that could be a huge problem for Ortiz. And he has power, and he's a strong, in his prime, super welterweight. And Virgil is he got dropped twice by Baranchyk, who's a little bit bigger than Madrimov, a little bit more durable, and I think he's probably a little tougher. But he's not as skilled as Madrimov. So I get it. I get why people think Madrimov might, beat Virgil or picking him. I just think at the end of the day, Virgil's a force of nature. He doesn't necessarily have to be one of these guys that's more nuanced and sophisticated than the other guy. He's throwing heat for all 12 rounds. Heat, speed and power. And he does have a good jab, too. And he can move, he can navigate the ring, too, with his feet. But, yeah, at the end of the day, he's throwing fastballs all night. And I think he'll overwhelm Madrimov to a degree. Just with that. Just with his ferocity, work rate, and how and again, he's got underrated velocity. Like, when I watched Xander Zayas tonight, first thing that stood apart, he's not as fast as Virgil Ortiz, like, immediately. So I think Ortiz is really good. He's had vulnerable moments. Mean Machine dropped him. You can see if I get it. I get the logic. If Mean Machine at welterweight hurt Virgil and had him out on his feet, Madrimov is better than Mean Machine. He's been a world champion, unlike Mean Machine. He's bigger than him. He's just as savvy, if not more savvy, with landing the right hand. But I just think Virgil is he's an ascending force, and he's a force of nature. He's a strong force of nature in the ring. I think he's going to handle his business. Good fundamentals, too. Little basic defensively, but good high guard.
Who do you think, when the dust settles, is it Ortiz that's like, can he be a star, like a breakout star at 54?
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Virgil Ortiz. We're talking about who could take over Cinco de Mayo and Mexican Independence Day. He's a super strong candidate for that. As a matter of fact, beyond Benavidez and barring Ryan Garcia getting his shit together 110% and living up to his talent as a fighter and keeping his head on right outside of the ring, besides him, Virgil has next for being the next Chicano Mexican-American guy. Benavidez has it right now, and he didn't get a chance to prove it at the highest level with Canelo, but he's got it right now. But and Ryan could be the biggest thing, but I think Virgil's right there beside Ryan as the next guy for Mexican fans, for sure. I just think maybe you're questioning. I think, your skepticism might be he's too one-dimensional. He doesn't have enough science to back up all that velocity and power he's throwing for 12 rounds. He could be found a little too easily, too.
Yeah, and at 54, I'm not convinced that all that carries up necessarily.
Yeah.
In the, with a deeper well of competition. But yeah. I'll be interested to see how Madrimov comes back from this. Also, I think he's a proud fighter. He was, like I say, deserving of more credit than he got in his Crawford loss, and maybe he comes to make a statement. And if he's
some Crawford fans have overrated him. To be fair, some Crawford fans are like, he beats everybody, because they want Crawford to look like the best 154 pounder in the world. Like, they know their guy Crawford's not actually going to fight these fights at 54. He's going to 68 to cash out with Canelo, win or lose. And so there's Crawford fans who are like, no, Madrimov is the best. Like, he beats Fundora, he beats Virgil, so there's a little bit of that at play.
What does Crawford do after Canelo? Like, win, lose, or draw, what does he do? Where does he go?
Peace. Goodbye.
You think that's it? You think that's the last fight?
I heard that was plan B for the Canelo fight. Like, it was going to be Canelo or retire. Oh, shit, I lost Rahim. Yeah, that's what I heard, chat. Yep, that's what I heard. I'll be in Vegas for Canelo Crawford. Well, I'll answer this super chat real quick, Ralphie. In their prime, Mikey Garcia versus Tank at 135. Who wins? I'm going to favor Tank just because, Tank struggles with this too, but Mikey talked about how he doesn't love boxing. And, we talked about that with Jared Anderson earlier in the live. Mikey Garcia talked about he doesn't love boxing. And I just got a feeling if Mikey ever would have fought Lomachenko or Tank, I think he's super capable of beating either one. But because his motivation was never, admittedly, from his own mouth, fully there for boxing, I think that would have cost him in some way at the highest level. And I know Gervonta talks some of that rhetoric too, he doesn't care about the belts and undisputed and all that. I just got a feeling at the highest of the highest levels, that would have let Mikey down in some area, where he didn't execute what he needed to execute, and he would have fallen a little bit short against a true fellow elite fighter, because Mikey was elite, and Mikey is actually one of the best pound-for-pound punchers I ever covered in my life. But his lack of love for the sport, and I get you could argue that with Tank too, I just think it would have cost him a little bit again at the highest level. What's up, Rahim? I was quickly answering the super chat about Mikey Garcia. Do I think him or Tank would have won? And my answer was, Mikey was an elite fighter who had all the arsenal and the skills he's one of the best punchers pound for pound I ever covered in my life. His power from that little frame without a lot of muscle on it, it was freakish. He was an amazing puncher, pound for pound. I think at the highest levels against Loma or Tank, he would have fallen short because he didn't love boxing like that, like we're talking about with Jared. And I know Tank echoes some of that.
You're talking about with Jared.
With Jared, yeah. You're right.
I'm not letting him off the hook.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's his cope. But I think at the highest of the high levels, that would have cost Mikey a little bit against Lomachenko, or maybe even Tank too. I think against Lomachenko was a fight where he had everything he needed to beat Lomachenko. The power, the positioning, the IQ. But I think Loma has more dog in him than Mikey. And, when they got to push that, when you got to push it a little extra against a fellow elite fighter, I think Lomachenko would have been much more willing to go to that well than Garcia.
I got it flipped.
Yeah.
I can't believe you drew me into this because I hate fantasy fights, dude. I hate it. But I think Mikey's power would have beaten Lomachenko. I think he would have shut some of that shit down. I got Mikey on Lomachenko, and then I think Tank is the one who maybe has a quickness that Mikey can't fucking deal with, and a certain rhythm of fighting that will be able to best what would make Garcia look a little stiff. I think Tank would make Garcia look a little stiff and a little slow. And
I'm reading between the lines of this. Why don't you say what you really want to say? No, go ahead. A little stiff against the more athletic guy. Okay, all right. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Rahim. Yeah. The rhythm, huh? The rhythm will make him look a little stiff.
The rhythm of the night. It might have been, you know what I mean?
Lomachenko, on the other hand, not the same guy. Okay. All right, gotcha.
Oh, what are you gonna do?
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay. Moving on.
Yeah. Gotcha. One more super chat from Clifton Dennis. Who's on upset alert next Saturday? Seriously. Look, I think Kid Austin's worth the run for the money. He's plus 700. You could come up big. You could see it. It could happen. There is no other big underdog bet on that card, really. I think Zhang is a slight underdog. I think Zhang could get Caballel. Caballel has no defense. Styles make fights. He thrives on overwhelming his opponents by getting inside and clubbing you to death, to submission. And he throws like a lot of arm punches, and he's heavy-handed. So kind of like Beterbiev, he doesn't have to commit his lower half to turn the punch over to hurt you. He's one of these guys that just has to touch you when he hurts you. But he's this all-out, not a lot of defense kind of fighter, Caballel. And Big Bang Zhang could fucking bang. He's got one-punch knockout power. I think Zhang only has to walk him into a couple of bombs. He doesn't have to meet him blow for blow and keep up a crazy work rate. But Zhang is like 40 years old. He might be blowing air out of his ass by the fourth round, exhausted, and Caballel might just overwhelm him. And Zhang's gotten a couple paydays. He's been in a couple of tough fights as of late, and maybe Caballel's catching him at the right time. But if Zhang is still Zhang, I think Zhang wins that fight by knockout.
All right, I'll give you one.
Sure.
Bivol dominates Beterbiev.
Ooh. Okay.
Bivol dominates Beterbiev. That, while I know is probably, I don't know what the odds are. I'm sure it's a much closer fight as far as who wins it, but nobody's picking Bivol to dominate. And I think there's a possibility that happens. He's felt Beterbiev's power. He knows what it took for Beterbiev to find him. If, in fact, he's not afraid of the power, and knowing that he was so close to the win and needed to win those last rounds and maybe could have won the earlier rounds even more convincingly, it is Bivol who is more likely to make adjustments and to brood over how to fill those gaps in his own defense and come up with a strategy to fight the exact same Beterbiev that he fought last time, which he is very likely to get, by the way. And I don't think Beterbiev is back to the drawing board trying to counter the adjustments that Bivol might make. If he's doing anything, he's expecting to fight the exact same Bivol, and I don't think that's what he's going to get. I think he will rely on his power. He'll put more pressure on Bivol. I think that's the whole adjustment. All right, just start earlier, be more aggressive, get to him faster. I'll find my fucking openings. And I think Bivol is going in with a fucking master plan. He has looked at every element of the fight. He is tasking himself with being perfect, and he is going to try to do the math and figure out how to win this thing with adjustments. And if he's right, if his math is correct, he maybe wins this fight going away.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And you even see Bivol working in the gym on like little things that Cotto had to do in the rematch with Margarito to stop that forward momentum. You see him wrestling on the inside in camp, and that to me tells me he knows at times he has to stop the forward momentum of Beterbiev. And like Cotto did that in the rematch with Margarito. Instead of just throwing his combination and getting back on his movement, there was a few times he purposely slid in and got in his chest, wrestled with him a little bit in the clinch, just to stop that forward progress once in a while and not let that bully work up a head of steam. And to your point, like what I don't like about Beterbiev is close fight. Who said it was a close fight? You said it was a close fight? And then, hey, remember he said that to one of the interviewers. And then at the presser they had, when they announced the rematch, they said, you've knocked out everybody you've ever fought. Why did this guy see the final bell? He's like, I don't know. He's lucky, maybe. He's lucky. And it's like, that's a very anti-stoic Eastern European warrior question. I thought you guys don't make excuses and don't lucky. That goes against everything you guys stand for. What's this luck? There is no luck. Luck is work, and it's like he got lucky. That doesn't jibe with your value system and what you're supposed to be all about. And then now you're trying to, like, motherfucker, you thought you might have lost that night, and now you're trying to say close fight. Who said it's close fight? I'm gonna bully you now. Like, now you can't just bully your way through every answer, Arthur. You might not be able to just bully your way through this answer. And then the smart money's on Bivol. Andre Ward. Most boxers you talk to thought Bivol won the first fight, and they think he's going to win the rematch. And, Jim Lampley would always stress to me, I remember he picked Ward to beat Kovalev in the rematch, even though he thought Kovalev won the first fight. He said because the boxer and the younger guy, those are the two key advantages usually in a rematch. Who's younger and actually can adapt and get better? Bivol's significantly younger than Beterbiev. And who's the boxer? Who's the guy that usually makes his money off this more than being a power puncher? And that's Bivol. So he checks both boxes. He's the younger guy, and he's supposed to be the better pure boxer. So he's supposed to be the guy who can actually get better from fight 1 to fight 2. And you combine that with Beterbiev kind of making excuses like, oh, now it was lucky and now it wasn't close,
I'll piggyback on that. Bivol, who you correctly recall, most people that I talked to as well, most people, not everybody, but most people thought he won. When asked in the post-fight, why didn't you get the call? He said, because I wasn't perfect. I need to be better. He had the opposite answer. He's the one who had every reason to make an excuse or to point the finger or to claim he was robbed. And instead, it was all internal. Like, I've got to be better. And he was upset on the night and since, and never once have I heard him project that onto a ref or a judge or a trainer or even Beterbiev. Every time I talk to him about it, it's what I didn't do, what I've got to do better next time, how I've got to be perfect. That's the formula.
He took his loss like a stand-up man.
I hate boxing now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He hated it before, Rahim. He hated it before.
Yeah.
But he he took his loss in the truest form like a man. Like, when people say take your loss like a man, he didn't try to convince himself or anybody else that he got robbed. He's been incredibly introspective since that loss to Beterbiev. He's held himself very accountable, and you could just tell by listening to him, the dude has been super reflective about it. And he's been all about what I should have done and could have done better and not crying over spilled milk. So, but all that said, what's funny is I thought Bivol won. I picked Beterbiev to win, and I like being right, sometimes more than I like the truth. But I thought Bivol won, but every time I've watched it since, I understand why Beterbiev got his hand raised. And so that is something that kind of flies in the face of me just picking Bivol in the rematch, is when I go back and watch that first fight, I mean, that fight was so close it even makes you question what is the right way to score fights. It kind of took me back to the old HBO model, like, well, the effective aggressor gets the nod. Because that's what the judges gave Beterbiev. Like, it was a very closely contested fight, but it seems like they gave him credit because he was able to control the center of the ring a little bit more than Bivol. Some people would argue, no, Bivol did. He was turning him around all night long, but what the judges saw is no matter what Bivol lands, he can't keep this guy off. And this guy, even when he's landing on the gloves, he's physically pushing this guy back. He's making him have to retreat. And in that sense, his aggression is effective in these close rounds. So every time I go back and watch the fight, I totally get why Beterbiev won. So maybe that's why he wins the second fight. Like, they're both really good, but one guy's a little aggressive and is able to maintain on that front foot a little bit more, and the judges give him the slimmest of margins. They give him the benefit of the doubt. That might be what happens again. I kind of hope it happens again because I don't want this trilogy, and I want Benavidez to fight the winner. And if it's Beterbiev, that stylistic fight is beautiful, and I think Benavidez wins. So, like I told you, I like being right more than being fair and truthful sometimes. I want to be right. So we'll see, man. But I think that's about it, man. We finally have dropped 20 or so people. I do got one last super chat from Last Warning. Last Warning, thank you for the $10, brother. He asks, who would you like to see fight Martin Bakole? I would, Usyk works for me. If Joseph Parker can't upset Dubois, I already saw Dubois and Usyk. If other people want to see it, cool, I get it, I'll watch. I'm kind of hoping Parker wins by upset just so I can see a different wrinkle thrown at the heavyweight champion. But if Parker can't get past Dubois, and I'm not very sure he will, I'd like to see Martin Bakole fight Usyk. He already beat the main guy. Wilder's washed. So there's no point in a Wilder fight anymore. He beat the other two big guys, Joshua and Fury. He already beat Dubois. I get it, low blow or whatever. I'd like to see Usyk fight Bakole if Parker can't get past Dubois.
If Dubois wins, I got to see Undisputed. Dubois-Usyk rematch. Very, very, very interesting to me. Even more interesting than Bakole. I would love for Bakole to get the winner of that fight. I don't think whatever happens, I think Dubois Usyk is a one-off, like no rematch, no matter who wins. And then Bakole is teed up. Maybe Bakole in the meantime, while Dubois and Usyk is happening, fights the winner of Jean Cabial. And then whoever wins that fight gets a shot at Undisputed. That's how I would like the world to work.
It might actually work like that because your boys over there, you know, they're doing their thing a little bit, just a little bit. So it might actually go down like that. See, in American boxing, we're not that straightforward, okay? We marinate things, okay? We overdose.
Yeah.
That's why we're in the predicament we're in now. That's why they're over there doing what they're doing because of the bullshit we did here. Anyway.
Yeah, over there you guys take the food and beverage job.
Yeah, you could have ran the casino without being on television. He's like, I know, but it's not my ass. It's my ass. It's not your ass. It's my ass. Yeah.
Well, nobody better in the casino than Sean Zittel.
That's right.
I appreciate you having me on the TV. This has been always fun, man. We gotta do this shit more often. This is a fantastic marathon, and it was a marathon. I don't even know how many minutes we've been on, but we stayed at the tables all night on this one. So get yourself some sleep at the airport. Everybody,
on this beautiful bedroom I have.
Yo, do not dare disrespect Sean's commitment to this sport and to you and his fan base, because this guy went to New York in the dead of winter, covered a fight in the theater, not even in the main garden, theater.
Not even.
Stay on top of these fights for you, and then does a fucking marathon live from the fucking airport where he's got 14 hours to wait because he ain't gonna fucking buy a hotel room. He just wants to keep delivering content to the fans.
That's all I want to do.
Respect this man. This is your Valentine.
That's right.
Well done, sir.
Yo soy su gallito, boxing fans. Yo soy su gallito. All right. Later, Rahim.
Yo soy fiesta.
Later, brother.
Later, bro.
Thank you, Kenny Powell.